Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Thank you to Scott. Good afternoon. A 4:30 start for Total Sport. What is the world coming to? Newcastle's crucial Champions League game in Barcelona kicks off at 5:45. That's where we're here in the middle of the afternoon. We'll bring you live commentary, of course. Razor's in the new camp. Ando is back in the studio here. 1-1 in the first leg at St James's. All to play for in Catalonia tonight. We'll be on until 8 as usual, unless it goes to extra time and or penalties, of course. We will still talk Sunderland, maybe a little bit more briefly than usual, but we've got Nick Barnes and Marco Gabbiadini here with us tonight. We'll squeeze in as much of the listener interaction as possible as well, by which I mean give us a call, 0800 234 6565. You can text us on 81333. You can WhatsApp us on 08000 321 333. Everything's just about normal except the start time.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Except the start time and the presenter, of course. I am Colin White, in for Simon Pridey with the day off, but he will be back tomorrow. As far as the other personnel is concerned, then we are all as you were in the studio with me. It's a slightly odd order in which to introduce people, but in the studio with me we've got our Sunderland commentator Nick Barnes. Hello, Barnesy.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon indeed, yes. We're long past being able to say good evening at the start of this show. And we've also got former Newcastle United fullback and tonight match summariser, John Anderson. Hello, Ando.
Colin.
And then in two very different remote places, I think it's fair to say, we've got our Newcastle United commentator Matthew Racebeck. Hello, Razor.
Good evening to you. Hi.
Yes, Razors is the line that's got a bit of atmosphere behind it, with all due respect to Shea Gabbiadini, because we've got the former Sunderland striker Marco Gabbiadini with us as well. Good evening, Marco.
I can provide some atmosphere if you want. I've been doing a bit of digging today. I've had grandchildren visiting if you wanted to provide atmosphere, but I think Razor tops it tonight, so well done, Razor.
Yeah, and it's not even Razor, it's the new camp. It's the new camp that tops most places, although and we'll get the team very, very shortly, Razor, because I know we've now got it, but just as a sort of general setting the scene, yes, it's the new camp, but it's not the new camp as we know it.
It's a new camp stadium that is still undergoing major redevelopment work. The lower tier and middle tier are complete and almost fully open. Barcelona were granted a license to increase the capacity to 62,000 from 45 in time for this week and for this match, to give them some extra support for the visit of Newcastle United, who had their away allocation increased to about 3,000, and the travelling Toon Army are in the upper section of the middle tier, diagonally across to my left-hand side at the far corner. But the upper tier is pretty much still a construction site. There are cranes in the sky overhanging pretty much the top of the stand, and there is still a canopy roof to go on the stadium, so still a lot of work to be done. But Barcelona effectively building a new ground, a new Camp Nou on the same piece of land. So they've stayed at their iconic venue, but it has been modernised, and that work to finish it is still ongoing.
Yes, and we've got live pictures from the stadium in the studio, obviously, because that's how Andrew's going to be doing the commentary with you tonight. I'm trying to work out if we can see you on the screen. I'm not sure we quite can at the moment, but when you were describing what you could see, I was trying to work out if we had you in vision as well. I'm not sure we do. Let's give us the team then. That is the most important thing at this point in time, because we now know Newcastle's starting 11.
They have made 5 changes tonight, and the 11 is this: Ramsdale in goal, Trippier, Chow, Byrne, Hall, Ramsey, Tonali, Joelinton, Elanga, Barnes and Gordon. So 5 changes from Chelsea, and the players who come in are Trippier, Byrne, Tonali, Joelinton and Elanga. No surprises, no shocks on the bench. Bruno is not available. He has travelled to support his teammates, but he is not fit to play. Still no Miley or Cher either. Substitutes are Pope, Ruddy and Harris. They've got 3 goalkeepers on the bench, as usual in Europe. Botman, Wissa, Osula, Livramento, Jacob Murphy, Voltemada, Willock, Alex Murphy and Neve.
I will take the Barcelona team from you in just a moment. But Ando, yes, it's 5 changes from Chelsea. It's only 1 change from the first leg, though, which feels like maybe a more representative way to look at the team tonight. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there's any real surprises in there. I suppose the only one you would think was maybe Livramento for Trippier, but you can understand why he's gone with Trippier with his experience and leadership qualities, good organiser, gets people in position, talks to people, and he's got bags and bags of experience at this level as well. As for the rest, no surprises there at all. You always felt that Gordon was going to stay playing through the middle, Alanga on that right hand side, Barnes on the left hand side. The pace of those three, in the first leg caused Barcelona a lot of problems because of the high line that Barcelona played. So there's no surprises. As I say, the only one you would have thought maybe if he was going to would have been Livramento for Trippier, but he's gone with the experience.
Have you got the Barcelona team, Reza, to bring us?
I do have the Barcelona team. I'm just trying to work out how many changes they've made, but I can tell you that their 11 is Joan Garcia in goal, João Cancelo, the former Manchester City player, Eric Garcia, another former Man City defender, comes into the side. He didn't play. He was an unused substitute, Eric, in the game last week. Pau Cubarsí and Gerard Martin. That's the rest of the back four. Midfield for Barcelona, Pedri, Marc Bernal and Fermin Lopez. And in attack, Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, who scored a hat-trick here against Sevilla, past Newcastle's Odysseus, who is on loan to Sevilla. That was on Sunday, Barcelona's last game, and Robert Lewandowski up front. That's the Barcelona starting 11 tonight. So the captain, Ronald Araujo, who was playing at right back last week, he is on the bench tonight. So they look slightly different, Barcelona, to how they did at St James's.
Thank you, and we'll come on to the strengths of Barcelona, I'm sure, in the next hour and 8 minutes or whatever before kick-off. And if we divided the Newcastle team into defence, midfield and attack, what's the most important area tonight? What's the match-defining area to you?
Probably midfield.
Yeah, Eddie Howe thinks the same thing.
Yeah, I would think midfield is going to be where it could be won and lost. I thought last week in the first leg we were excellent. I thought our energy levels, our physicality was all there. But I think we've seen in the first game that we played Barcelona in the league phase, for 45 minutes we matched them and were on a par with them. Second half we couldn't get the ball. They just kept the ball and kept the ball. Something that they didn't do last week because of the pressure they were put under and weren't given any time whatsoever. And I think we're going to have to do exactly the same sort of job again tonight. I think we're going to have to get in their face, make life very, very difficult for them. Null phase, I suppose, rough them up a little bit. Rough them up as much as you're allowed to rough them up.
As much as the referee allows you to.
I was going to say, yes. Rough them up as much as you can get away with. But I think midfield. I think that's a huge area of the game tonight.
Well, Eddie Howe, like I say, thinks exactly the same thing. Let's hear what he has to say.
Barcelona's midfield have been really good against us in the 2 games, and Pedri will be one of the players that has contributed to that. They want to play with control. They want to dominate that midfield area. I think it's been a really good battle between their midfield and our midfield in the 2 games. We've had moments where we've been on top, they've had moments where they've been on top, and of course they're the suppliers to their very dangerous front 3. So we're going to need to be very, very good in our midfield. Duels, the battle in midfield really will go a long way, I think, to deciding the game.
I think specifically, Ando, as well, when you read about the team tonight and particularly on social media, I guess, who supporters think might affect the game most. I think people have put quite a lot of pressure on Joe Linton's shoulders here for the specific reason you've just talked about roughing people up.
Yeah, interesting one, because going back to that that first game against Barcelona, in the second half, they moved the ball that quickly that he couldn't get close.
Yeah.
You know, if they do that tonight, he could get a little bit frustrated because they moved the ball that quick in that second half. You could see he's trying to get there, but they've already moved the ball on and they're playing in and around him. You know, so he needs to pick his moments.
Yeah.
More importantly, he needs to keep his head.
Yeah, I mean, it has been pointed out before, Razor, on this programme that he's never been sent off for Newcastle, despite the reputation that he has. He did keeping that intact tonight, yeah.
He did get I'm not trying to correct you, he did get a red card in a friendly against Benfica,
yes.
but that doesn't count. And we're talking about competitive football here, and he is ultra competitive. Look, I think if you're a midfielder and you're going up against Joelinton, as brilliant as Barcelona's artists in midfield are, they will know that he has a physical edge and an advantage. What you don't want is him to be drawn into anything where the referee could be influenced or alerted to him being over physical. I think what you've said there about him keeping his head will be very much Eddie Howe's message. He can play with aggression, he can play on the edge, but there has to be an element of control. And I know he is not Newcastle's most technically adept footballer, but Eddie Howe will always tell you that Joelinton can still play. He does pop up with goals. He's got 6 this season, including a couple in the Champions League. He is a very important part of the way they play and the way they have played over the last few years. They are a different team with him in it. That midfield of Ramsey, Tonali, available again after illness and starting tonight, alongside Joelinton. It's a decent blend, isn't it? We know all about Tonali and his boundless energy and the qualities that he has. Ramsey, I liked when they signed him. He had a slow start. We're now seeing exactly why they were keen to pay Aston Villa so much money. He's been very good recently, deservedly playing. Big night for him as well. That midfield three, Ando, Colin, they were excellent last week in the first leg, up against one of the best midfields in the world.
Indeed, yes, and I think the most interesting individual battle is probably one that was talked quite a lot about before the game and after the game last midweek as well. Lewis Hall up against Lamine Yamal. I'll get your thoughts on him, Ando, again in a minute, but the Newcastle left back, well, let's hear from Eddie Howe. He was praised for his performance last week against, one of the best young players in the world.
The only way I can judge his response to that game has been the Chelsea game, which I thought he again delivered a really strong performance for us. I'm very reluctant to build up any player after any game, because you have to continually prove and give answers in every game, especially when you're a defender. The challenge is a big one for him tomorrow. This is going to be a really good test of Lewis's defensive skills, his experience, and how much he's developed in the last couple of years. I'm sure he's looking forward to the challenge if he's selected, and that'll be an intriguing battle.
If he's selected. We now know that he has been. He's just got to do the same thing again, Ando, doesn't he?
Yeah, he was brilliant last week. He's been brilliant all season, to be fair to him. For such a young boy, he's got such an old head on young shoulders. He's very mature. Last week, a lot of players could have been overawed by the situation of who you were up against, but he never gave him a kick. He never got involved in the game, never caused us any problems whatsoever, and he's got to go and he's got to do it all again tonight.
Simple as that.
Simple as that, yeah.
Simple as that. Let's hear one more bit from Eddie Howe, because after back-to-back Premier League wins and as we've just already talked about there, a good performance in the first leg against Barcelona, he's as pleased with his Newcastle team as he has been all year.
Yeah, I'd say I'm probably the happiest I have been throughout the season. It's been one of a lot of change in the summer. Obviously, well spoke about. Early season, we struggled to find our rhythm. Our relationships in the team were new, or some were new, and I think that took time to settle into the normal patterns that we would work towards. Then confidence got affected slightly. We worked really hard to try and bring some stability to the team and really focus on performances. Of course, we've trained when we can this year. It's been a relentless schedule for us, as everyone knows. So we've crammed a lot in, I think, in the last couple of months, despite the games that we've had. And I think we've seen a bit of reward for that. I think the last few weeks we've returned to a really good flow. It's been a much better feel, and better individual performances have returned. better collective performances. So at the right time for us, hopefully we're entering a good period of form. It's going to be no greater test than this game.
He says, Ando, he's as happy as he has been all season, which is just as well, because this is the biggest week of the season.
Yeah, I suppose if you're going to put a run together, now is the time to do it. You know, you're down to single figures in the Premier League. Games are, we're almost at the end of the season. We've been consistently inconsistent all season, but in recent weeks, an awful lot of talk about our away form, and our away form earlier in the season was poor. We couldn't buy a win, but it seems like something's just fallen into place recently. So yeah, keep that going. Still plenty to play for. I mean, you win out there tonight and it's massive, it's absolutely huge. Won't be easy though. It won't be easy, and you've got to keep going in the Premier League as well. We spoke prior to the Manchester City FA Cup game saying how big the games were coming up when you looked at what we've got. Okay, we lost the FA Cup tie to Manchester City, but since then it's been pretty decent. Yeah, it's been decent.
I mean, you talk about consistency, Razor. The irony is that having found that consistency, after Sunday, there's at least 2.5 weeks, if not 3 weeks, without a game.
Yeah, and it will depend on progress in the Champions League. They may come back a bit earlier and play either Spurs or Atletico Madrid, probably Atletico Madrid, given the way that first leg went, 5-2 to the Spanish side on aggregate. They play at 8 o'clock tonight. Newcastle or Barcelona's next opponents will be one of those two teams. That would be on either the 7th or 8th of April, but if Newcastle are eliminated from Europe, they won't play again until the weekend, and we don't know yet whether they'll go to Crystal Palace on the Saturday or Sunday, so they might have to wait a little bit longer because Palace could be in Europe themselves in that midweek. The point you're making is that they have a break for the first time since August, since September, really, in terms of apart from international weeks.
Break. Yeah, it's the first time that Newcastle will have gone 7 days without a game, as you well know, since the October international break.
Yeah, and that tells you everything about the relentless nature of the schedule. This is their 50th match of the season. It's their 20th in Cup football, European or domestic cups, which is a club record, and that could obviously continue. I mean, if they win tonight and go through, or draw, win on penalties, whatever, as long as they get through, they'll play at least 60 matches this season, which is it's a phenomenal number of games and just sheer amount of football. They don't really have the squad depth for that. Clubs like Barcelona certainly do, because they have it every year. Manchester City and others in the Premier League definitely do. So it's been a real test for them and of their depth and their ability to operate as a club at the elite level, and they're still learning about being at the very top, and the Champions League is the very top. Their league form has suffered. They've done well enough in the domestic cups, really, certainly compared to the previous era at Newcastle United, but it is a lot to juggle. So yeah, on one hand they get rest, they get free midweeks if they are eliminated, but they want to continue and they want to keep playing Champions League football. The rewards are there for them, but it will mean that their season will go on and continue to be busy into the month of April, and they'll set new club records for number of games played.
Indeed they will. We will see how it all pans out tonight. Razor, going to give you, and actually in fairness Ando, a little bit of a break for the moment. Thank you to you in particular, Razor. We'll be back in Barcelona just after the 7 o'clock news. I think it's probably when we will the 5 o'clock news, sorry. Timings are all over the place today. We're going to say that and goodness knows how many times today. We are going to have a quick chat about Sunderland in just a moment with Nick and with Marco. It is 10 to 5.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Hi, it's Matt here, and tomorrow is the day I return to the high seas, or rather the boating lake in South Marine Park in South Shields on board a Swan Pedalo. You might remember a few years ago I managed to pedal the length of the Great North Run. Well, this year I'm going to attempt to double it, all for Comic Relief's Red Nose Day. 2 half marathons across 2 days on a pedalo. And I genuinely have no idea if I can manage it, but I'll give it a good crack. You can join me live from 6 a.m. tomorrow from the park, where I'll be taken to the water on my trusty steed at 8:30.
Matt Bailey at breakfast. Weekdays from 6. Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle.
You're listening to Total Sport on BBC Radio Newcastle. Let's have a chat about Sunderland. We've heard from Razor that it's going to be Newcastle's 50th game tonight, so the 51st will be the derby. Barnesy, it's Sunderland's 35th, if I've got my calculations done quickly and correctly, which probably makes quite a difference, actually.
Well, I think it does, and I think there's been a lot of talk, a lot of debate this season about whether Sunderland fans want Sunderland to reach Europe because of the consequences of reaching Europe and playing 2 games a week, Thursday to Sundays, and the impact that has on newly promoted teams specifically, because looking at how Nottingham Forest, for one, and other teams, even experienced teams like Aston Villa, have struggled to try and cope with the schedule that is thrown up by a good run in Europe. So, careful what you wish for in many respects. But I think, as Ben would always say, is that, and as we've said about promotion to the Premier League, if it arrives, if it turns up on your doorstep, you don't turn it down.
Might never happen again.
It might never happen again. So you have to embrace it. But it clearly does have, mean that issues arise as a consequence, as we've seen and we've heard. How many conversations have we had in this studio about Newcastle's schedule and the relentless schedule they've had, and how tired they can be, and reasons for home form, away form, etc. And you can boil it all down and try and disseminate what it's all about, but clearly there's an impact when you play that many games.
Yeah, we've got lots of time, Thursday, Friday in particular, to properly preview the derby. Marco's here as well, of course. It's going to be an international break, but not so much of a break for the Swedish goalkeeper.
Well, Melker Elborg, he's obviously been in goal the last few weeks with the injury to Robin Ruffs. He's now received his first senior call-up for Sweden ahead of the World Cup playoffs, and he'll hope then to be involved on Thursday week, tomorrow week, in the playoff, the semi-final against Ukraine. That's the Sweden World Cup qualifying semi-final.
Yes, and there might be another international representation across the window. This
is a fascinating story. 18-year-old Finn Geragusian, he's going to step out at Old Trafford tonight for Sunderland's under-18s in the quarterfinals of the FA Youth Cup. He's just been called up to the senior Armenia squad, and he's been telling me how his connection to the country, who were once managed, of course, by Ian Porterfield, came about.
It's my mum's dad. On their side, that's Armenian, and he speaks Armenian, and he's really showed me the heritage and the culture of Armenia, which is really important, especially when I've been called up for them and get to represent their first team, which will be unbelievable.
I mean, how proud of you of that call up?
I'm so proud of myself, from what I've achieved, getting that call up, and my granddad especially. All my family are very proud of me, and I'm going to go out there, I'm going to represent them and just give it my all.
And the next obvious question then for Finn was, can he speak Armenian?
I can say 1 or 2 words, but I'm currently learning some more.
I mean, that will doubtless improve if you're although I say that, I bet most of them speak really good English.
Yeah, a lot of them speak really good English, which is obviously really helpful for me, because that helps me understand what their game plan is, and in training as well. And I can have a little chat with them as well to make friends, and that's really good.
I'd imagine it will all be in Armenian, though. You might get help with interpreting, but ultimately, I don't know who the Armenia manager currently is. So I guess if that's not an Armenian,
it is interesting, because I think largely because the players are drawn from Armenia and that region, they probably will all speak in their native tongue. But I think generally you find that most players now are very well versed in English. I think I think when I look back this summer, the summer recruitment for Sunderland, the majority of Sunderland's new players all speak very, very good English, and I think it's European-wide now that players do tend to learn. But all the same, what an experience from 18 years old, is called up to a national squad. And not that he's not. He's been to Armenia a few times with his family in the past, so he's no stranger to Armenia. But it is for someone who's 18 and used to playing football at Sunderland's academy and with Sunderland, it's still an amazing experience.
So it's going to be fantastic, Marco, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, it opens a lot of doors as well, international football. I think, his chances of playing He obviously qualifies for England, I'm sure. I don't know if he's got any other different creeds in his family, but these things are, if you can play international football for any nation, I think it's a huge boost to your career. And he will be playing, against some of the, if he does get selected and he's involved in matches with, top players in the world. So I think it's worth the opportunity, and it's definitely something. When I look back on, my brother was born in Wales, and I always think of the scenario that if I'd have been born a year later, that we were living in Wales at the time, just where my dad's work. I would have jumped at the chance of playing for Wales. Obviously I had the chance for Italy, but playing for Italy in England is harder than playing for getting an opportunity for some of the smaller nations. So good luck to him. I hope he enjoys it. I'm sure he will. I think the language thing won't be any issue at all. He's not going to get up to speed to be fluent in Armenian, but he will try, and that always helps, doesn't it, if you try a few words. But I think, as Nick said, most countries in the world people speak English now, and if not, they will have an interpreter probably who will be feeding him. I played in Greece, and sometimes players would just sit in my ear and sort of just give me the main points of what was going on if it was all happening in Greek on that day. So I'm sure he'll have a great time.
He will, and he'll probably have a great time tonight as well, Barnsley. We certainly hope so.
I hope so. It's a chance for him to write a bit of history tonight at Manchester United, who have a rich history in the FA Youth Cup. As we said last night, 10 times winners.
Yeah, they are definitely a very good team, and they've got great individual players. But I think collectively, our team is really good as well. We're encouraging each other. We always look out for each other, and we'll definitely give it all to the last minute, last second, and push each other through. It goes throughout the whole academy, the first team, 21s, the 18s. We've all got that sense of community about us. We all look out for each other. Whatever it is that you need, we'll always help with each other, especially on pitch and off pitch stuff. We'll make sure that everyone's okay, and it's just a great environment to be around.
So kick-off tonight at Old Trafford is at 7 o'clock. It's going to be streamed live via the FA. That stream will not go live until 15 minutes before kick-off, but you will be able to watch it tonight if you wish to.
And another 7 o'clock kick-off
to
talk about tonight as well.
With 4 teams at the bottom of Women's Super League 2 on 14 points. It's getting a bit jittery, and tonight Sunderland women play one of them at home, Sheffield United. Here's head coach Mel Ray.
Yeah, it's quite tight, isn't it, at the bottom of the table. We've still got our game in hand. Sheffield have got games in hand as well, and I think it's a big week for us, playing 2 teams who currently sit below us in the table. We know there's no easy games, and we've got to be competitive like we were against Charlton and Forest in order to get a result. We've got a good record, but again, it's on the day. It's how we apply ourselves. That's a big message that we've had to hammer home to the players today in our review and overview of Sheffield. It's a big challenge to play the 3rd game in so many days. So we have to make sure that we get the team right in terms of the starting lineup. We get the subs right, so we keep the energy and intensity, and we get what we deserve.
Durham will be cheering them on tonight as well. Durham are one of those 4 on 14 points at the bottom, having been beaten by Ipswich at the weekend. So. And
Sunderland 19 points. So there's the big game tonight at Eppleton. Then they play Portsmouth, who are one of those in the bottom 4 at the weekend. Kick off this evening at Eppleton is at 7 o'clock.
Thank you very much indeed, Nick Barnes. A shorter Sunderland section tonight, but we will return, or you will return here tomorrow. Reggie Slibree's presumably doing his press conference on Friday because it's a Sunday game. So
2 days before the game. We
will hear from him on Friday. Eddie Howe obviously will be the same. Newcastle have got a Barcelona game to focus on tonight as well. We'll come back to Marco just after the news. I am a lot closer to 5 o'clock than I expected to be, let's be honest.
On the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker,
Play BBC Radio Newcastle.
and on your radio.
The sound of the North East is BBC Radio Newcastle.
Because it is 5 o'clock, and here with your latest BBC News is Martin Emerson.
Yes, I'll just get me microphone. was miles away, the microphone there. Right, I've got it back now. Can you hear me okay? The eyes of the football world very much on Barcelona tonight, then, where Newcastle United are hoping to make it to the quarter-finals of the Champions League for the first time. Now, the first leg finished 1-1 last week, and around 3,000 Newcastle fans will actually be in the away end tonight, while thousands more have travelled to Barcelona simply for the crack.
We've got a fantastic squad, got a fantastic manager. Yeah, I think we're going to do it.
This is our hardest hurdle, this one tonight. We can get through that, sky's the limit.
I think Barcelona think they're going to beat us, but they've got no chance. Watch out, Lamine Yamal, we're coming!
And a reminder, we've got commentary from 5:45. Now, 5 new meningitis cases have been reported in Kent, bringing the total number there to 20. 2 young people died in the outbreak at the weekend, and a targeted vaccine programme for 5,000 students is now being rolled out at the University of Kent. The outbreak is being linked with a nightclub in Canterbury. Medics want anybody who went to club chemistry over 3 nights from March the 5th to come forward. As lambing season gets underway, dog owners now face tougher penalties if their pets are caught worrying livestock. From today, fines are unlimited and police can seize pets they think could be responsible. Mark Mather is a Conservative County Councillor for Wooler in Northumberland, and he's also a farmer.
It's very important whether it's the sheep that's bleeding or has been attacked, but actually it's the other sheep that's in the field that's been chased, hit against fences. That type of impact can't really be registered. So there's a number of lambs lost each year. So the financial impact to farmers is far greater than the one sheep that you can see with blood on it.
The road safety charity Break says simple messaging is the most effective way to teach children how to stay safe near traffic. Today marks the 20th anniversary of its road safety scheme aimed at kids. Figures reveal the North East was one of the only regions in the country actually to see an increase in child road collisions between 2023 and 2024. Break's chief executive is Ross Moorlock.
It's not about, making children or anybody kind of fearful and scaring them. But it is about having honest conversations about the risks of our roads, keeping it simple, keeping the steps that they can take kind of in their minds and not kind of overcomplicating it.
Researchers from Durham University have discovered a 700-year-old wall painting at Durham Castle. It was hidden beneath plasterwork and wall panelling and dates back to around the 13th or 14th century. Researcher Andrew Ferrara is part of the team.
You have to imagine going into a huge room covered in this really incredible and bright coloured wall decoration, and it really underscores that sort of power and status that the bishops of Durham had during the medieval period.
And your weather, mist is going to creep in overnight as temperatures slip to between 4 and 7 degrees, and we'll have a murky start tomorrow with lots of low cloud slipping in from the North Sea as well. Highs tomorrow between 10 and 13, and that's your BBC Radio Newcastle News.
Thank you very much, Martin.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
A different looking, different sounding Total Sport tonight. It's only 5:05 and we've already been on for more than half an hour. Apologies if you missed us, because it's a 5:45 kickoff at the Nou Camp for Barcelona against Newcastle United in the second leg of the Champions League round of 16. A place in the quarterfinals at stake. A reminder, it may go to extra time and penalties tonight. And I think Sunderland fans, Marco, would probably quite like the game to go to extra time and penalties tonight, wouldn't they?
I think they would, yes. It would. I mean, we had a bit of a discussion last night. Steve didn't seem to think it would make too much difference at the weekend that Newcastle were playing tonight. I think it will. Even if it's only the 90 minutes, it will still have an effect on them. We will be fresher and have more energy. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But and look, Newcastle pride themselves on this high press, and their work rate is excellent. So I'm not expecting them to step down from that, but to continue that for to do it for long periods in a game. If you've had a midweek game beforehand, and the opposition are fresher, will be an issue. But extra time, all these things will be delaying their flight home, I presume.
Well, they will be, yes. There's that when we look at the derby, Newcastle having played in midweek, and there is also, I pointed out to Barnsley just a few minutes ago, there is a difference between it being a 35th game of the season and a 51st game of the season, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing that can counter that is if you have, how many games each individual player plays. I don't think Newcastle they don't have a massive squad, do they? They don't have some of the riches that other teams have, and Eddie Howe, I think he's one of these managers who likes a core of players and think, certain positions will change. I don't think they've had too many injuries this season, but, obviously that does affect you as well. But, yeah, playing that many games is bound to have an effect. Look, the modern game management and monitoring of players bears no resemblance to what I experience. So I'm speaking about something I don't really know about. But these players now have every tool at their disposal to reach the next game in a better condition. And so yes, that makes a difference. I had a season where I think I played about 56 games for Derby one year, before all those things were available to you, and it was hard. And the last 10-15 minutes of most games in that era were scrappy and lots of mistakes. But I think the game has moved on a lot since then, and we have a time now where players are refueling during the game and on straight after to minimise the downsides of it when they come to their next match, which can only be sometimes 2 or 3 days away.
And most games, Ando, you played in a season, I mean, there must have been, you had the odd international game peppered in there as well, which made it a bit
I don't know,
longer.
I never counted.
No
not
56 though.
No, I wouldn't think so. No in a career maybe.
Yeah, over 2.5 seasons he got to a half century, didn't he?
Yeah.
We've had one text on Sunderland, Marco, and then I will let you go. It says, it's from Billy and Jarrow, who says, we were talking about European qualification earlier. If Sunderland get in Europe, they'll be relegated next season. They're tired now, says Billy. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of a generalised comment, really. Look, I think if they got relegated, if it was with this squad, possibly. But we know we need to add numbers just for the Premier League. So if it was a European competition involved as well, I think it would probably be strengthened even more. You can't just say that we'd get relegated. That's just not the case. But what it might be is that you might not be as competitive in some of your games when you come back from these European games. So. But that means it doesn't mean to say you'll be relegated. You just might not finish as high as you did the previous season, which is what we're seeing regularly with teams who have a little flirt with the European competition. The following season they don't even qualify because they end up being in the bottom third of the league rather than in the top third of the league. Yeah. So that's a sort of a bit of a leap of faith that he's going for there. Yeah, I mean Spurs and Forest, I guess, are the two big. Spurs have got deeper problems, but Spurs and Forest are the two examples of that this season. Yeah, Marco, going to let you go. It's the anomaly with Spurs is they won every flipping game in the qualifications for the Champions League. Yes, but couldn't replicate it domestically. It's 5:10 and we're saying goodbye, Marco. It's, okay, go and walk the dog or something. I don't know what to do with myself this evening now. I'm in limbo. Thanks, enjoy the daylight. I know you've been outside all day though, haven't you? So I've been digging in the gardens. You'll find something to do. I'm sure. I'm going to go and have a hot bath with some salts. Quite right. I'm going to get my recovery right for Sunday because I need to be 100%. You do indeed. Thank you. You are on the show tomorrow night as well, though, aren't you? I will be. Yeah, yes. Lovely. Thank you very much indeed, Marco Cappiadini, former Sunderland striker, off to enjoy his hot bath. Meanwhile, everyone else is thinking about the game that kicks off in 35 minutes' time. Newcastle United in Barcelona for the second leg of their Champions League round of 16 match. That is our sole focus now. We'll hand over to Matthew Raisbeck in around about 10 minutes' time. Other bits and pieces to get through before then as well. We're going to hear from Michael, who's a Newcastle fan, in just a moment. But now, let's hear from some Newcastle fans who made the trip out to Barcelona. Speaking earlier on this afternoon, they were having a chat with Luke North's Nisha Joshi.
Just a few hours to go till kick-off. How are you feeling?
Excited. Yeah, I think we're going to win. Joe Linton has a good game. I think we'll definitely get a goal at least.
On that day, Newcastle will beat anyone if if they play like they can. And we've got a fantastic squad, got a fantastic manager, and yeah, I think we're going to do it.
The key man for the game is Joe Linton. We need him fit and raring to go. He's a beast. He's the hardest player in British football. He's an animal, but he's a great footballer as well. And if he plays well, we're home and dry.
When we get physical, I don't think they liked how physical we were last game. So if we can get into them physically, if the midfield's at it today, I think we have a chance. Need to be clinical as well. I don't think we were clinical enough at home, unfortunately.
I reckon it'll be a tough game. Might go a goal down, but we'll win 2-1.
We'll give it a go. Yeah, have a good chance, but we'll see. Lot of effort, a lot of good pushing. As long as they press, got a chance. See how it goes.
I cried at Wembley. I'll be swimming back in my tears and we'll win tonight. That's what it means to it. If we can get through to the next round, of course I think we're going to be back in Spain, but great, I love Spain, it's fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Wasn't like an old fridge, mate. We're going to batter them. Like, say no more. Don't know what else you want us to say.
I'm very confident. I think we should have won the first leg. I think we'll win the second leg. I think Barcelona think they're going to beat us, but they've got no chance. Yes. Watch out, Lamine Yamal. We're coming.
Buzzing like an old fridge. There's a sentence I've not heard before. I enjoyed that particular description. Lots of positivity and lots of confidence, lots of optimism.
Yeah, look at it. I think if we play as well as we did last week, I think we've got to play with that intensity. You know, we've got to play with that aggression. It's only half time in the game. You know, half time, 1-1. You're still well and truly in it. Got everything to play for. There's no reason in the world why they can't go and do it.
Let's have a chat then to Michael, who's a Newcastle fan who joins us on the line. Evening, Michael.
Hi, Colin. Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm good. Do you share all this confidence and optimism and positivity?
Well, I must say first, apologies to Ando. I was a bit excited after the Man U game. I was catching a train, so I got a bit carried away. I won't get worse next ways. So apologies, Ando, for that.
No problem. No bother at all.
I'm looking forward to the game tonight. I'm predicting a 1-0 win. My first thoughts, I'm looking forward to see Lewis Hall against Jamal Lamini. Lewandowski, I think he's a past horse, and I'm not concerned about him. I like we've got a strong bench. Livramento, I'd like to see him at some point. I know he's on the bench. Alanga's coming into form. I think he could make his name tonight. He could make his name. There's an upsurge in his form. I agree with what you said. Ramsey's coming, proving what we paid for him. So, really, really looking forward to the game. I want to touch on one other subject quickly. Chelsea getting let off for not being points deduction by not applying to the rules. We had to tell Elliot Anderson. So by sticking to the rules, we could have kept him. I just think Chelsea, it's just bad news, I think. And I'm sure you agree with me on this occasion. But other last point before I disappear, the referees. I hope it's not a referee like they did to Lloyd Kelly. I know Marco didn't like us when I agreed with the yellow card when he got sent off. He kicked off, so I hope the referee, we're not talking about him after the game today.
Yeah.
And I hope Joe Linton doesn't get sent off.
I've been accused of jinxing him by mentioning that he's never been sent off in a competitive game before.
I know, Colin, I heard you. 77 fate.
Yeah.
77 fate, man. You know, but Joe Linton's fiery. I think he was lucky not to get sent off the Man City game when he clattered that new winger in the corner. How he never got a second yellow.
It's interesting, Anna, we talked about the midfield having to rough Barcelona up a bit. That's fine, but you kind of need the referee on side in that scenario as well, don't you?
You know after 5 minutes whether the referee's on your side or not. You know,
I had a canny winner weekend. Barcelona, I hope they're a bit tired, you know, but I hope it's not a... We'll see if he's in the huddle at night, the Barcelona huddle, and we'll know something's up.
What's your score prediction, Michael?
I'm saying 1-0. I'm off to the comrades with Roger the Sock to cheer on the boys.
Have a fantastic time.
Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm gonna 1-0 the black and white.
1-0. There's a prediction, and that would
and
be
even Usola off the bench. because even he doesn't know what he's going to do, that lad. So how could happen? But I'm up for it. I'm up for it.
We can tell.
I think everybody's. I think everybody's up for it.
Yeah.
You know, look, it's got the makings of a great game. It's intriguing, isn't it? You know, because we played so well in the game last Tuesday. Just a shame right at the death. You know, if we had been 1-0 up going out there, you'd have thought, yeah, got something to hang on to here. But it's still in the balance. It's still really in the balance. I'm intrigued to see what way Barcelona go about this. We know what we'll do.
Yeah.
You know, we know the game plan that we'll have. We'll get in their face. As I say, play with that aggression, play with that ferocity. But I'm really intrigued to see which way Barcelona go about it.
Yeah,
because they got roughed up a bit last week.
It's a funny one psychologically when you were saying it'd be nice to have something to take into the lead to defend.
Still got
it's as if the first leg didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like there's no away goals, nothing matters. It's as if it didn't happen.
It's not as if we've gone out there and we're 2-0 down and all of a sudden you're chasing. You know, it's still all to play for. 1-1. But yeah, it's an interesting one. It's an intriguing game. It really is.
You've got your big screen set up here. We're going to watch the game from here. You'll be doing your co-commentary with Razor, who is out in the new camp. John Steele has sent us a text message, or a WhatsApp message it was actually. Says, happy with that starting lineup and nice options off the bench with pace, not necessarily a lot of goals. Do you think this match will have a lot of goals tonight, Ando, lastly?
No, I think it'll be a tight affair. You know, Barcelona didn't create a great deal last week. I hope they're as quiet this week as they were last week. Yeah. And I hope Lamal's as quiet as he was last week. Lewandowski, I thought he played well last week. I thought he held the ball up. You know, his touch was good. But they didn't create a great deal, and I'm hoping that's going to be the case again tonight.
We will find out in 27 minutes time onwards. 5:45 kickoff at the new camp. Let's get the best possible atmosphere then ahead of kickoff. I will hand you over in just a moment, in about 35 seconds time. John Anderson, of course, is here for full commentary. I'm going to hand you over to the new camp in just a moment. It will be in the company of Matthew Racebeck.
This Red Nose Day, we're bringing the fun in.
What a way to start the show.
The Traitors, the movie, is back.
I do think you're a traitor. I'm not.
You are.
I'm not a traitor.
You are.
No.
You are.
I am not.
We visit Amanda Land with more than one Amanda.
My content's finally broken through to the mainstream.
Dermot O'Leary and Alison Hammond try new ways of raising money.
Let's all remain calm, people. We're just here for the money.
The nation's favourite Nan joins us in the studio.
Don't make me laugh.
And much more. Red Nose Day, Friday night at 7 on BBC iPlayer.
Total Sport North East.
The Champions League. Matthew Racebeck and John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
And good afternoon again from Camp Nou in Barcelona. The stadium being redeveloped. It is unfinished, but the middle tier and the lower tier are open tonight, and atmosphere building with what could be a capacity 62,000 crowd and 3,000 Geordies in the corner in the upper tier on the far side, but many more made the journey, and I'm sure we'll be watching in the pubs and bars, the Irish pubs, the day after St. Patrick's Day in Barcelona, hoping to be celebrating something special later on as Newcastle United bid to reach the quarter-finals of the Champions League for the very first time. They have been in a last 16 of this competition before in a previous format when it was a second group stage. That took them here in 2002-03 as well. But playing knockout football in the competition proper is something new, and a quarter-final place for the winners will be next, and that tie will be played next month. It's getting serious now, the Champions League, as we get closer to the final stages of the competition and all of the round of 16 ties playing today, this week. Some completed yesterday. There are 3 more that come tonight at 8 o'clock after this, which gets started at 5:45, and we'll bring it live to you from inside Camp Nou with John Anderson giving his expert analysis from the BBC Radio Newcastle studio. And you can also listen to our coverage for the black and white angle on BBC Sounds. Or if you have a smart speaker, ask it to play BBC Radio Newcastle. The teams are going through their warm-ups now. Newcastle in the half to the left-hand side, Barcelona at the other end, and Newcastle came out to a good reception from those fans who are peering down from the top of the middle tier, the highest point in the stadium that is actually open. If they look above, they will see a construction site with the third tier still not complete. It has no seats on it. It's just the grey framework and the stone that has been put in place, and then cranes up above that as well. Barcelona's players announced onto the pitch to a huge reception back at home after 2 years away and unbeaten since returning to Camp Nou in November. Ando, it is a special place to play. I don't know whether it would have been better to have faced Barcelona at the Olympic Stadium rather than it being here, given all this place means and everything that it holds for them. But probably the Newcastle fans would have wanted it to be at Camp Nou, even if it is incomplete as a stadium and as a structure at the moment.
Yeah, it's taken quite a while, hasn't it, to get the stadium redeveloped, Razor. I think the majority of people would have preferred it to be where we are tonight. Look, it's a huge game. We're only half time in it. First half at St James's last week went very, very well. I thought we were exceptional. I thought we were energetic. I thought we were physical. We put Barcelona under an awful lot of pressure. And I said to Colin earlier, hopefully we can do exactly the same tonight. I know the way we'll play. It's going to be intriguing to see how Barcelona approach it, though, Razor.
The two teams are as follows. Newcastle United, 5 changes. Ramsdale in goal. He continues to be the number 1 pick ahead of Nick Pope, at least for now. Big night for him, as it is for all of his teammates. Captain Kieran Trippier, Malik Chow, Dan Burn, Lewis Hall is the back 4. Jacob Ramsey, Sandro Tonali and Joe Linton in midfield. Anthony Elanga, Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon lead the Newcastle United attack. And the substitutes: Nick Pope, John Ruddy, Aidan Harris, Sven Botman, Johan Wissa, William Osula, Tino Livramento, Jacob Murphy, Nick Voltemada, Joe Willock, Alex Murphy and Sean Neve. So the changes are Trippier, Byrne, Tonali, Joe Linton, Elanga for Botman, Livramento, Murphy, Voltemada and Willock. And Barcelona, Hansi Flick, the manager, makes 3 changes from the win over Sevilla when they return to La Liga action on Sunday. 5-2 success here. And their 11 is Joan Garcia, the goalkeeper, João Cancelo, Eric Garcia, Pau Kubasi, Gerard Martin at the back, Fermin Lopez, Pedri and Marc Bernal in midfield, Lamine Yamal, Rafinha and Robert Lewandowski. Barcelona on the bench tonight. Wojciech Chesney, the former Arsenal goalkeeper, experienced backup option for Barcelona. Diego Cochin, the other goalkeeper, on the bench. Ronald Araujo, the captain, is a substitute tonight. Gavi, who hasn't played against Newcastle yet in the Champions League this season. Ferran Torres, Marcus Rashford, Mark Casado, Dani Olmo, who won the injury time penalty at St James's, Rooney Bargi, Alvaro Cortez, Xavi Espart, the young defender who came on for his first appearance as a late sub last week, and Thomas Marquez. That's Barcelona, and that's Newcastle United here at Camp Nou. Eddie Howe thinks his players can handle the pressure of such a big occasion.
We've got an experienced group, many players who have played in so many big games now, we've become accustomed to it. So I think for the players it's slightly different than it is for me. I'm preparing a game. I'm not going out there and playing. So you almost want that size of the game to lift the players and to make us grow. Certainly we can't shrink with the size of the game, but many internationals within the squad, I don't see that as an issue. It's just making sure from my side we get the plan right. They've got a lot of dangerous players that we need to deal with, so we need the concentration to be where it should be and where it needs to be, but also we've got enough players that can cause them problems the other way, and we've shown that in the 2 games against them, so we have to find a way to get them in the game as well.
Ando, when Eddie Howe talks about the players don't shrink, how important is it that if they don't score early, Newcastle, hopefully they will score first, but that if it stays at 0-0, their confidence, their belief will grow, won't it? Rather than this being a situation like when they've gone, for example, to Manchester City so often and found themselves behind very quickly and sometimes 2 or 3 goals behind. So I suppose the point I'm making is that if it stays 0-0 for long enough, probably they'll settle into it more, but the best case scenario is that they score an early goal, Newcastle.
Yeah, look, I think the longer it stays 0-0, the better it suits us, to be quite honest, because I think Barcelona will then get a little bit nervy, they'll get a little bit edgy. You know, they're the home side. I think the emphasis is more on them. Look, let's be perfectly honest, Reza, not a lot of people think that we can go there and win, you know, outside of Newcastle supporters, and but a lot of people think that Barcelona are going to turn us over. So the longer it goes at 0-0, all the pressure is on Barcelona. You know, I think all the pressure's on them right from the start anyway. I don't think there's any real pressure on us. I think we can go, we can play, we can go and enjoy it, give it our best shot, and that's all you ask. You know, look, as I said, if we play as well as we did last week, you'd have to say we've got a major chance, because we put Barcelona under so much pressure. We won the physical battles. You know, we won the individual battles. I thought we won the collective battle as well. You know, very unfortunate right at the death with the penalty kick. But that's football, isn't it? But look, we're still in this. We're still in this because at 1-1 it's only half time and there's 90 minutes to go. And as I say, you definitely wouldn't rule us out of it. That's for sure.
Any sort of draw tonight after 90 minutes takes it to 30 minutes of extra time. Penalties are possible as well here in Camp Nou. It has been a lovely week in Barcelona, northeast Spain, the Catalonia region, on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea. Temperatures of about 16 degrees. Sun has been shining. It's been t-shirt and shorts weather. Tonight, though, there is a cool breeze sweeping through Camp Nou. It doesn't help that the stadium is still obviously quite open and there's no roof on it yet. And there's a bit of cloud as well. It's turned rather chilly tonight here at Camp Nou after a wonderful week of weather. And I suppose that getting to come to a place like this for the thousands of Geordies who've made the journey is all part of the appeal and the attraction of the Champions League. You get to go to some wonderful places like Barcelona. You get to go to some more unusual places, less obvious destinations like Baku in the last round. But this is one of the biggest and best away trips that Newcastle United can be on, and they have been here before at Barcelona, and we're going to look back for the next couple of minutes at their previous visits to Camp Nou. Their first Champions League campaign was effectively over by the time they visited in November 1997, just a few months after Kenny Dalglish's side recorded their unforgettable win over Barca at St James's Park.
If Barcelona get nothing else from this European Championship, they desperately want to beat Newcastle. It hurt them to lose at St James's Park. The good news is that Tino Asprilla is training with his teammates. The bad news is that most people here believe this game has come just too soon for him to come back. For the rest of the players, it's a chance to play at the new camp, the chance of a lifetime, and they intend to seize the opportunity.
The ball over the top, looking for Siric, and Siric is trying to flick the ball in, and Barcelona has scored, and what a delicate and cool finish, and it's actually Giovanni who has scored.
Great finish. I mean, every time they've played the ball forward, they look like getting in. I mean, Newcastle have been so square at the back this evening.
The fans will remember this game for the occasion, just for the fact that Newcastle United are playing in the Nou Camp Stadium. It's such a glamorous game, so much prestige in the European Champions League. It's a shame they can't qualify as the runner-up, but I'm sure it'll whet the appetite for years to come. Beresford now trying to use his pace, zipping away down that far side, the left. Infield, he finds Kitspire, little cute back heel, and the shot comes in from John Dale Thomas, and it's naked in deflection, actually strikes the crossbar, and it's a corner kick. And Newcastle United so unfortunate that they didn't get an equaliser through the Dane John Dale Thomason. The last throw of the dice for Newcastle United, and indeed it is. It's a third successive defeat for Newcastle United in the European Champions League.
It proves that the stronger your squad is, the better chance you have of being able to cope with injuries or suspensions. But we're only new at this. We've been at it for a lot longer than us.
And that was Kenny Dalglish reflecting on a defeat 1-0 in Camp Nou in 1997. Ian Dennis with the commentary alongside Ando as well. That was their first taste of the Champions League that season. They were without Shearer. Asprilla didn't play in that game here. They played some matches without a striker. They just didn't really have enough, did they, Ando, that season in terms of squad depth to really go far in Europe, but it was still a great introduction that began with the home win over Barcelona.
Yeah, look, it was a great experience, and you're right what you say, we didn't have the depth of squad to be able to cope. The fact that we picked up injuries as well most definitely didn't help on that occasion either, Razor, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Their match here in the second group stage in 2002 saw the great Sir Bobby Robson return to Barcelona, where he spent a season as manager in the mid-90s, and that was for a match that had to be put back by 24 hours.
The Nou Camp in Barcelona is one of the world's great stadiums. Capable of holding 100,000 fans, it was empty last night. Torrential rain forcing Newcastle's Champions League match to be postponed for 24 hours. Sir Bobby Robson expressed his disappointment for the 5,000 Newcastle fans who'd made the wasted journey to Spain.
It wasn't a decision that we've taken lightly. We know that we've disappointed a lot of fans. Some may be able to stay, but I think a lot, if the game had been played next week, would not have been able to come anyway. It's expensive, Christmas is coming.
The Toon Army maintained their spirits despite their disappointment at having to stay longer, missing flights home.
This wasn't my decision. We can only go by what the referee says, and if he thought it was unplayable, then we have to accept that.
Travelled a long way to get here, long day yesterday, no sleep, devastated.
I haven't cried for a few years, mate. I did tonight. I was distraught.
The players and supporters will be hoping the rain stays away and the game can go ahead tonight.
It's still with Barcelona. Barcelona have scored. Danny. Forward still go Newcastle. They find Dyer. Amiobi has scored. The bottom left-hand corner. Amiobi has equalised.
All this is still a dream for me. 3 years ago, if you had told me I would be scoring in a Nou Camp, I would have laughed. I've worked hard for what I'm getting now.
Kluivert's a mark. He scored. And Barcelona retake the lead. This next goal we said at half-time would be all-important. Who scores it? It floats in. Off the line as the flag is up. The goal has been given. Barcelona 3-1.
It's looking that way that Barca and Inter Milan will win the group, but we will not give it up, and you never know, and 4 games to go, anything can happen.
Well, they didn't quite make it out of the second group. They gave it a good try, though, beating Leverkusen, drawing in San Siro, but beaten here, Ando, 3-1, a waterlogged pitch and a postponement. Shola Amiobi's brilliantly taken goal, and Sir Bobby Robson getting, the welcome of a hero on his return to Barcelona that night.
Yeah, I mean, the rain was unbelievable. I mean, the pitch most definitely wasn't playable. And it was a shame, there was a lot of people stranded as well. But the game itself was a tough game for us. I mean, Amiobi's finish was first class, but they were a decent side. But it was what it was. it was a tough group that as well, Razor. You know, when you look at the teams that were in that group, and unfortunately, yet again, we just came up a little bit short.
It's BBC Radio Newcastle live in Camp Nou. 10 minutes to go. We'll bring you commentary that you can also listen to on BBC Sounds. Kieran Trippier is captain tonight. He was a runner-up in this competition with Spurs 7 years ago. He's enjoyed plenty of success in his career on big European nights like this.
I go back to my Tottenham days. We had to come to Barcelona to get a draw or a win. Everybody wrote us off, and then we ended up getting Man City, Ajax 3-0 down. We come back 3-0, so and we get to the final. Champions League's more. It's all about fine margins, especially this stage of the tournament. You know, it's all about tactical, but Barcelona are a physical team as well. They've got some very, very physical players. Technically, it speaks for itself. But we've got to think about our strengths, how we can hurt them. So it's going to be a good game. It's going to be an entertaining game. Two teams attacking to win the game to go through to the next round.
Kieran Trippier, Ando, so experienced, and he has, over the last few weeks, played probably some of his best football for Newcastle United, hasn't he? In some big games too.
Yeah, he's been exceptional. When you think the amount of games that he's played, you know, he's no spring chicken anymore. You know, he's you would say he's at the twilight of his career. But his performances have been outstanding. You know, he's a player with vast amount of experience. He's played in these types of games. He's played in plenty of them. He's a leader on the pitch, a good organiser, good talker. Pulls people around, instructs people. I thought he might have went with the younger legs of Livramento, being a little bit more pacey, but he's gone with the experience, and you can understand why.
Eddie Howe has picked a team with 5 changes, and it's Ramsdale, Trippier, Chow, Byrne, Hall, Ramsey, Tonali, Joelinton, Elanga, Barnes and Gordon. That is the team that has been chosen to try to beat Barcelona in Camp Nou and take Newcastle United into the Champions League quarter-finals. And here is how the manager thinks they can do it.
We'll try and be ourselves. I think we're going to need a bit of everything. We're going to need certainly the defensive mentality we had against Chelsea, blocking shots, defending our goal, defending in numbers, compacting space. We're going to need all of that. We're also going to need a bit of what we do best, which is our running capacity, which is our athleticism, both on and off the ball. So I think an all-round game from us. We're going to need to be good at set plays, all the things that always contribute to your results, but we're going to have to do it better than any other game we've done this season.
And they will have to be at their best, and maybe some way beyond that. They're going to try to go somewhere they've never gone before as a club. Maybe the team and the performance will have to reach new heights here against Barcelona as the atmosphere builds with just over 5 minutes to kick off. It is such a vibrant and colourful place as a city, and Camp Nou is exactly the same. The blue and red Barcelona flags are flying all around the stadium, as are the red and yellow flags of Catalonia, the regional pride on display from Barcelona supporters. Red and blue in the main stand and on the far side, and yellow and red behind the goals, and then that section in the far left top corner, black and white stripes. Just under 3,000 Geordies got tickets, and allocation increased from 2,200 when Barcelona were granted a license to get more supporters in for this tonight. It is still, despite the fact that it is unfinished, one of the greatest arenas in European football. When it is finished, it will be the largest, with a capacity of 105,000. It previously held 99,000. Their big rivals, Real Madrid, renovated, redeveloped their Bernabeu Stadium. Barcelona are doing exactly that. But when you think of the Champions League, you think of places like this. You think of clubs like Barcelona. They have won it on 5 previous occasions, but their last was 11 years ago. Back in 2015, only Real Madrid, AC Milan, Liverpool and Bayern Munich have lifted the trophy, European Cup or Champions League, on more occasions than FC Barcelona, who were semi-finalists last season, losing an epic tie 7-6 on aggregate to eventual runners-up Inter Milan. And they stand in the tunnel next to Newcastle United, waiting for the nod from the referee, Francois Letexier from France, to take to the pitch. This is the referee's first match involving Newcastle. He did the first leg of Benfica Real Madrid's playoff tie last month. That was his previous Champions League outing. All of the officials are from France, apart from the VAR, who is Bram van Driesch from Belgium. And Barcelona supporters are on their feet, and now the players are called forwards. Newcastle United are coming out all in white. Maybe they've learnt some psychology from Chelsea and Liam Rossignol at the weekend. The Real Madrid colours as they take to the pitch alongside Barcelona, led out by captain tonight Kieran Trippier, with skipper Bruno Guimaraes here injured but watching on in support of his colleagues as they try to take Newcastle United further than ever before in the Champions League, into the quarter-finals of European football's top competition. But to do that, they are going to have to beat one of the very best in their own backyard here at Camp Nou tonight. It's a special atmosphere befitting of such an occasion. Newcastle United and Barcelona players now shake hands as the Champions League branding and black and white flag with the stars on are removed from the pitch, and Newcastle United take off their white training tops to reveal the black and white stripes. And it's white shorts and white socks, Ramsdale in light blue, Barcelona home colours, luminous orange for the goalkeeper, blue and red stripes for the outfield players, blue shorts and blue socks, the officials, luminous yellow, black shorts and yellow socks. And as is customary in the Champions League, the players all get together for a pre-match photograph. Newcastle United lining up for that now. All huddled together in their half of the pitch. It looks like they're going to defend the goal to the right-hand side in the first half. Whenever the Champions League music blasts out, Ando, it is a reminder of where you are and what your club has achieved by getting there. And it is a special thing, isn't it, to just have that moment. But it does whet the appetite and it makes you want it even more, and they want to hear that music again this season in a quarter-final, potentially back here in Spain against Atletico Madrid. But for the players lucky enough to be selected, that will have felt really special. But of course they can't let the emotion get to them.
No, definitely not. You know, it is special music, of course it is. You know, and it's a special night for a lot of these Newcastle boys. They did an unbelievable job last week at St James's. You know, to play the way they played, to play with that ambition, you know, to get at Barcelona, to put Barcelona on the back foot, and they've got to show exactly the same sort of determination and physicality again tonight. Look, it'd be monumental if they got through this and got to a quarter-final. It'd be unbelievable, and look, it would probably mean another trip back to Spain, you would think, because Atletico Madrid have got a big lead against Spurs, and they play later on. But first and foremost, we've got to concentrate on ourselves and look to hopefully get a job done tonight.
We're ready, and they are underway in Camp Nou, here on BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Sounds. Newcastle United get us started. Up the pitch they go, shooting towards the left, into the Barca half. Gordon and Barnes link up, but now they come back to Ramsdale, and Byrne with a long ball up the line. Gordon is chasing, he's the wrong side of the defender, and it's headed out actually on the near touchline for a Newcastle throw 25 yards from goal. Gordon taking on two Barca players, turns well, gets dragged down, wins a free kick. Newcastle United set piece, wide on the left, inside the opening minute. They've gone forwards twice, got control, got hold of the ball, and Anthony Gordon, well, he was pulled down. It's a clear foul and free kick awarded to Newcastle United, and we are quite looking at it quite close to the left touchline, probably about 20 yards from goal. Opportunity for Byrne to get in the box, Chow as well. Trippier goes back to halfway. It's going to be Sandro Tonali to deliver it. We talked about possibly scoring early, definitely getting the first goal. Tonali lifts it in, it's flicked across the box, it comes out to Elanga, who lifts it back up. Goalkeeper's coming and gathers just at the front of the 6-yard box. They didn't quite make the most of that. Ando, as Barcelona, hang on, here's Joelinton winning it back after a nod on by Lamal. Tonali playing a ball in behind for Barnes to chase after, and Barnes gets there. Positive start by Newcastle United. Barnes beats his man, digs out a cross, and it's headed behind by Barca for a corner kick. It was a good ball dinked in, it just got away from Gordon, and Elanga coming in back post couldn't make anything of it. Barca flick it behind for a corner kick on the right hand side. Strong start in Camp Nou, still 0-0 though.
Yeah, what type of start Eddie Howe would have wanted. Getting Barcelona on the back foot straight away. I think we could get some joy from set pieces as well, you know, Razor.
They've taken it, lost it, and then got it back with Trippier, who clips it in, looking for Chow. Header down from Chow. Dan Byrne controls edge of the area, turns, and Dan Byrne has a shot saved by Joan Garcia, centre of the goal. Almost made a mess of the corner, but won it back. Then it came into the middle, and it was the two centre halves combining. And big Dan Byrne, a year this week since he scored at Wembley, has the opening chance here at the Camp Nou to put Newcastle in front. They've won it back in midfield after Barca play it out. Elanga, short ball at the edge of the area as he tried to roll Gordon in, and it's put out of play there by defender Gerard Martin. Well,
great start.
This is quite some start.
Yeah, it's a great start. It's a real positive start. Barcelona, if anything, look a little bit nervy. Probably look very nervy, but as I said earlier, just the start Eddie Howe would have wanted.
FC Barcelona 0, Newcastle United 0. They have it again. Trippier up the line. Elanga chases after it. Barca swing it clear into Newcastle territory. The touch there from Robert Lewandowski, a bit too heavy, and United play it back to Ramsdale. Floated out to Trippier, headed on. Barca on halfway. Get it down, get it on the floor, and it's played across central defence. Koubarsi, João Cancelo on the far side. And it's the first time really Barcelona have had the ball on the floor and been able to string a couple of passes together, because in the opening minutes Newcastle United, we've played 4 minutes, have been all over them. Here they go on the attack properly for the first time, and Rafinha on the left. Dan Byrne comes across, slides and diverts the ball behind for a corner kick. Barcelona attacking the goal to the right, and the corner is on the far left-hand side.
That's the first time we've seen Barcelona get forward, isn't it? As you rightly say, it's the first time they've had the ball, and we're into the 5th minute.
Well, Burn involved at both ends so far. And here's the corner, which is towards the back post. Ramsdale stretches, pulls it down, runs to the edge of the penalty area, kicks out of his hands, seemed to be impeded as he kicked. He appeals for something. Newcastle in midfield, it's headed on. Barca back to Joan Garcia at the edge of their penalty area. Ramsdale trying to get play restarted quickly. Felt he was fouled. Now there's a turn from Lamine Yamal and a slip by Newcastle. They've had two slips and an opportunity which is taken. Rafinha has scored. Malik Chow slipped in the centre, and then when the ball was played in behind, Lewis Hall slipped, and Barcelona, through Fermin Lopez, rolled it back to Rafinha, who guided it into the bottom left corner of Ramsdale's goal. They had started well. They'd had some pressure and a couple of attacks, but Barcelona have struck first in the Champions League last 16 second leg. On the night, FC Barcelona 1, Newcastle United 0 after 6 minutes, and 2-1 to Barca on aggregate.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great turn in midfield. You know, look at, we've had the better of it, started really, really well, but it just shows what they've got. Malik Chow just loses his footing. Lamal turns away from him, and they just got plenty of numbers into those forward positions, and it's a good finish. I mean, he just rolls it, doesn't he? Rolls it into that far corner, and after such a bright start, 6 minutes on the clock, we find ourselves 1-0 down.
It's what we talked about earlier, wasn't it? Not conceding early, not making the job more difficult. They are behind for the first time in the tie. But early signs were good. Let's see if they can come back. Barcelona from the corner on the right into midfield. Dan Burn with a challenge that the referee says is a foul, and it's in the middle of Barcelona's half. And they were looking at getting Rafinha in quickly. He's collided with Trippier, but they didn't play the ball. Trippier's back on his feet. Barcelona with it on the left on halfway. Rafinha's 18th goal of the season. He scored a hat-trick here at the weekend, and he's got the opener tonight as a ball forwards looks for him on the left. Chow back to Ramsdale. Big clearance which goes out of play close to the halfway line. Eddie Howe is walking around a huge technical area and watching as the ball comes through the middle of Newcastle's team. Tonali tries to cut it out. Ramsdale, great challenge, had to get that spot on, had to get his calculations right as he came out of the box, and he did, and it's gone out of play for a Barcelona throw on the right hand side. Strong from the goalkeeper, and a throw in only. If he'd missed that, it would have gone in for 2-0, or maybe it could have been a punishment with a red card and a free kick. Well done to Ramsdale. Good goalkeeping, quick goalkeeping.
Yeah, he did very well. Great start position, but it just shows, doesn't it? You know, as well as we've started, they've shown what they can do going forward, Barcelona.
Joelinton recovering possession deep in midfield. Here's Chow, turns, finds Tonali, out to Trippier. Good ball, good Newcastle football there in midfield, just behind halfway. Onto Elanga, holds it up, got a push, can't find Trippier with a return pass, and it's out for a Barcelona throw on the far side of the pitch, which they get back into play quickly. Marc Bernal, the young midfielder, inside now to Kubasi, and Bernal again across midfield with his left, a lofted pass onto the right boot of João Cancelo. They look for Rafinha. Trippier intercepts. Ramsey finds Tonali, and it's through a gap for Elanga, but it was overhit. It's not Elanga's fault. It was a good ball, but it was just too strong for him.
Yeah, it's a shame. He would have been away down that right side, wouldn't he?
Newcastle trying to win it back with Elanga putting pressure on. He's got hold of his man, and it's probably a soft free kick, but maybe he just grabbed onto João Cancelo. Whistle's gone. Barcelona get it started again. Ball on the floor, looking to work it forwards. And they've got Fermin Lopez there in the hole. He now runs in behind. They try to find him. Tonali slides and cuts it out close to the edge of the area. Lewis Hall under pressure. Comes away with the ball, rolls it up the line, but Barnes can't get it, and it's played back to halfway, and then Kubarsi to the goalkeeper who left his box. Barcelona misplaced pass. Barnes has got it, overruns it, wins it back, and that's a foul on Barnes as a sliding challenge comes in, just mistimed. They were trying to win it back, Barca. Barnes did well. He was quick and alive to the situation, and although Newcastle didn't quite get in behind the way they wanted, they won it back after a Barcelona mistake, and they've got this free kick on the left wing, similar sort of position to the one they had right at the start.
Yeah, Barcelona trying to play out from the back, give it away. Barnes reads it, most definite free kick. Let's see if we can miss the first defender with this one.
One of your pet hates, isn't it, when a set piece hits the first man? Tonali again with the free kick. One player in the Barcelona wall, a couple of yards in front of the corner of the box. Everybody else back to defend on the edge of the area. Tonali, here it comes. It's headed clear again in the centre. It made its way into the penalty box. Barcelona get rid. Newcastle, Hall back to Ramsdale. Long ball from the goalkeeper through the centre, headed on. It's bouncing in the centre circle. Lewandowski's gone down. Referee says get up. Dan Burn was at his back, but Burn didn't jump for the ball. Now they've got Elanga in, and Elanga's running out of play. And it's just untidy from Elanga, unfortunately. And it's a Barcelona free kick on the left side in their half of the pitch. Newcastle 1-0 down on the night, 2-1 on aggregate in the 12th minute. Back to Joan Garcia, has to be quick. Gordon was on top of him, and it's a header from Chow on halfway, which goes out of play close to the halfway line on the far side. Ball at the feet of Barcelona. Pau Cubarsí, the young Spanish international, has brought it up to halfway, unopposed. Lamine Yamal now plays it off the outside of his left boot, trying to get Lewandowski in behind. Chow's come across, intercepted, played it to Hall, probably didn't want it there. Lewis Hall back to the goal line, wins a free kick, got clipped by Yamal, and a set piece in that position. Probably the best outcome for Newcastle United.
Needless free kick to give away, wasn't it?
Barcelona saying they're taking it from the wrong place, which they did, and Dan Burn's got to do it again, but not because it's in the wrong position, because the ball was rolling. So this is going to be the third attempt at taking this free kick, which is still not in the right place, as thousands of Barcelona supporters who get to their feet are trying to point out to the referee and his assistants. But Aaron Ramsdale will send it long over halfway, and it's dropping close to Anthony Gordon, who's well marshalled by two defenders, and knocked down one by Lewandowski. Ramsey then intercepts. Trippier's got it, finds Joelinton, who's challenged by Yamal. Joelinton, strong place, just thrown over Lewandowski and played it back to a teammate. Newcastle keep possession. Ramsdale out to Trippier, and Ramsey just inside on the angle. Ramsey with a man at his back. He takes it well in tight areas, and he's done so again. Brought it over to the left to Lewis Hall, coming forwards, slips it away from his man, gives it to Barnes. Now Hall could play it in. They've got Elanga in the middle. Anthony Elanga with a chance to equalise, and he has! Anthony Elanga in Camp Nou for Newcastle United. Elanga has scored, set up by Lewis Hall up the left-hand side. What a run by Hall, and the ball into the centre gave Elanga the opportunity to shoot for goal, and Joan Garcia was stranded in the middle of the box, and Elanga for United in Barcelona has scored in the Champions League to level up this tie on the night and on aggregate. They've started well. They deserve that. Elanga is onside from Hall's ball, and he finished with his right foot from the right side of the area, back across Joan Garcia. What a moment for Anthony Elanga in a difficult first season in black and white. He scored one of the biggest goals for Newcastle United. How crucial could that be? FC Barcelona 1, Newcastle United 1, 2-2 on aggregate.
What a ball. What a ball that is. Hall does great. He breaks forward down that left side, and it's a fabulous ball. Elanga's there, one touch, back of the net, game on.
Elanga's goal was scored in the 15th minute. Now Tonali intercepts near to halfway, holds off his man. Barcelona do well to win it back. Then Newcastle get a throw, which may not be the correct decision, but they will certainly accept it gratefully. It's a good finish by Elanga in that situation with the pressure on. He was all alone, and he had time to think about it as well, which is sometimes not necessarily the best thing, but it was measured and precise, and it's got Newcastle a deserved equaliser. Rafinha for Barca, who led for 9 minutes till Elanga equalised. Here's Hall with a throw. Tonali on his thigh, tries to bring it forwards. Barcelona win it back. Ramsey's header. Joelinton climbs. It's nodded on towards Lewandowski on halfway. He's gone down, wins a free kick. Pau Cubarsí, square ball played here to Gerard Martin. Left side of the centre circle. Anthony Gordon at centre forward tonight, closing down. Lamine Yamal lays it off. Lewis Hall wins it back. Yamal gets it back for Barcelona, and is brought down by Joelinton. Referee reaches into his pocket for a... Did he show a yellow card there for Joelinton? I must confess, Ando, I don't have access to a replay. You do.
Yeah, he did.
So Joelinton has been yellow carded for that foul, pulling back Lamine Yamal on his shoulder and then grabbed his arm.
Yeah, he just arm on his shoulder, pulled him back. Might get away with that in the Premier League. Not getting away with it in the Champions League, though.
Well, they have a free kick to defend here, and it's Rafinha, which is right of centre. That's about 30 yards out. Chip to the far post. Barca head it down, and they've scored again in the middle. It's a tap in right in the centre, and Newcastle United should have defended that better. Their header back across, and it was just turned in from close range, right-footed, centre of the 6-yard box. And it was Marc Bernal who got there with the important touch. And what a disappointment. After getting themselves level, they're going to have to do it again. This is turning into a high-scoring game. We have played in Camp Nou 19 minutes, and it's Barcelona 2, Newcastle United 1, 3-2 to Barca on aggregate.
Got to defend it better than that, Razor. You know, it's a free header back post, but then it's headed back into an area, and he stood there all alone. It's just really poor defending.
Preventable, isn't it? Very preventable.
Most definitely, yeah. Just switch off, don't we? Go asleep.
You know, the first goal, there are two players who slip, which opens up space and opportunity for Barcelona there. It's just a defensive setup for a set piece that wasn't right. Barcelona got the first ball and the second ball, and now they have a second goal and lead again. Here's Hall in behind, Barnes chasing, so too Gordon, but it's too strong. And it is back with Joan Garcia. And I mentioned earlier that Barcelona were leading for only 9 minutes. Newcastle were level for just 3 minutes. So they have to find a way back into it once more. The worry would be if Barcelona could open up a lead as Jacob Ramsey tries to win it on halfway. It's out to the far left side, and João Cancelo stopped by Ramsey. Good challenge. Trippier edge of the area out to United's goal scorer Elanga. Chow back to Ramsdale. Lewandowski gets close. Ramsdale to Burn. Oh, Dan Burn edge of the area, loses it. Tonali's there to mop up. Tonali under pressure, has to put it behind. It's self-inflicted, and Barcelona have a corner. Thankfully, nothing more.
Got away with it, didn't we? You can't knock a ball to Dan Burn there with his back to play. He can't see anything. It's just got to go up the line. Barcelona about to make a substitution as well, Reza.
Yeah, change is seeing Eric Garcia go off, the defender, to be replaced by the captain, Ronald Araujo, who started at St James's Park a couple of weeks ago. Last week. Eric Garcia, the ex-Manchester City defender, brought back in tonight. He has had an injury problem. He's going off, so we assume it is injury related. Araujo is on, gets the captain's armband. And a corner kick to be taken on the right. It is 2-1 to Barcelona on the night, almost midway through the first half. BBC Radio Newcastle, also on BBC Sounds tonight. The defending of this set piece has to be much better than the last one. Every black and white shirt is back. Only Barnes is outside the box, but he's keeping an eye on Lamal at this near side. Here's the corner, headed wide at the near post, but it came off Chow as Araujo made the run and tried to guide it towards goal. So it'll be another corner on this near side.
Yeah, good defender by Chow. Followed him all the way.
Rafinha again. Driven in near post, put behind by Newcastle once more. So it's 3 in a row for Barcelona. And Rafinha puts the ball down once more. There's nobody standing on the post. Joe Linton is covering that area. Here it is again, looking for Araujo. It's the same sort of ball. This time he got a clear and clean header on it, but it clipped the back part of the side netting, and it's a goal kick.
Yeah, flat ball played in, driven in, wasn't it? Lost his mark, a free header. There's going to be some header to score from there because he's so advanced at that near post.
Long ball from Ramsdale. Joe Linton is the target, and he climbs for the header. Barcelona away. Tonali on, volleyed clear into midfield. Lamine Yamal controls it, goes inside, then comes back on the outside, then inside again. He's got 3 black and white shirts around him. He protects the ball, rolls it back to Araujo. They're going backwards with each pass here, but then over to the left. It's a heavy touch by João Cancelo. Then Jacob Ramsey makes a challenge and wants a throw, but Barcelona get the decision over on the far side of the pitch. 5 changes tonight. Ramsdale, Trippier, Chow, Burn, Hall, Ramsey, Tonali, Joe Linton, Elanga, Barnes and Gordon. Malik Chow's just won it back. Jacob Ramsey brings it towards halfway, gives it to Dan Burn, who lets it run, plays it with his right back to Ramsdale, who takes a touch over to the left and sends it forwards. Gordon and Barnes chasing. 2 Barcelona players go for the ball. There's a collision. They had control anyway, because the header went to another player in blue and red, but referees stopped the game. Potential head injury, and their medical staff have come sprinting on. It was Kubasi and Araujo, and it's Kubasi who is down on the floor. John Anderson, give us an assessment of how the game has gone so far, as they went behind, equalised, and then very quickly fell behind again.
Yeah, started really well, and then Barcelona, first time they really got forward, scored. Thought the reaction was good. Great ball by Hall, good finish by Elanga. But defending for the second goal, Razor, is really poor. You know, guy stood on his own back stick, free header. And the lad who scores as well, he's just stood in the middle of the 6-yard box all on his own. Nobody picked him up. Just went to sleep from the free kick.
BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Sounds live in Camp Nou. More Champions League commentary. Newcastle trying to get level for the second time tonight. Trippier towards Elanga, lifted up and out. They've got to throw about 20 yards from goal on the far side. Trippier goes to pick the ball up, throws it to Joelinton, holds off his man, plays it back down the line to Chow, and inside to Big Dan Burn. Lewis Hall takes a touch, passes it to the feet of Barnes, just in front of halfway. Barnes in behind, Ramsey wanted it, Gordon in the middle, but it's cleared by the goalkeeper who left his box, Joan Garcia, to get the ball away. Barcelona forwards, Chow's chasing after this, Rafinha not giving up the lost cause, following the pass into Ramsdale, who plays it back out to the right. A bouncing ball that Trippier does well to nod down to Chow. He lifts it back up the line to Trippier, helped on to Elanga, who heads it inside. Gordon comes to get it. Referees brought it back for a free kick, saying Elanga was fouled. Trippier puts the ball down, and he's been sent tumbling by João Cancelo as he was trying to take the free kick, and referee Francois Letexier has more sorting out to do. It is a talking to for João Cancelo, despite delaying the restart. No yellow card.
Yeah, he's lucky, he's fortunate. Knew exactly what he was doing, just ran straight into Trippier. That very easily could have been yellow.
Over the two legs then, he is the latest Barcelona player to avoid a potential yellow card. Joelinton's yellow card tonight, by the way, means he would be suspended for the first leg of the quarter-final if Newcastle get there. But they have to turn this around, trailing 2-1 on the night. Chow with a header from the free kick. Barcelona have it. Yamal straight to Hall. Lewis Hall for Barnes in the area. Barnes on the outside. Barnes' cross. Elanga back post has scored again. He's got two in Camp Nou. Anthony Elanga. Would you believe it? What a story. Lewis Hall again involved in the build-up. So too Harvey Barnes. And another ball to the back post, converted by Anthony Elanga, who is Newcastle United's double goal scorer tonight. It's absolutely unbelievable. What a game, what a second leg. This is high scoring, and who knows where it goes from here, but they have got themselves level for the second time tonight, and Anthony Elanga has only gone and scored again. Barcelona 2, Newcastle United 2, 3-3 on aggregate.
It's a great ball again. Barnes just squeezes it across goal, and it's the easiest task in the world, back post. You wouldn't say the goal scoring's finished either, would you? Been unbelievable.
Well, let's hope they can stay level for longer than 3 minutes this time. Here's Joelinton. He's just stronger than his opponent in midfield. Barcelona screaming for a free kick. Play goes on. They've got a player down. Elanga wants it in behind. Gordon in the middle. Elanga's cross. Anthony Gordon wide of the near side of Joan Garcia's goal. Barcelona still screaming and appealing. Hansi Flick, the manager's going to be yellow carded here. Referee Letexier comes across. There was nothing in that. Joelinton, in fact it's his assistant who's been booked rather than the manager. He put his arm across, but he didn't swing by the looks of things. An elbow as I just stretch across to try and peer at a small television screen. You can review it properly, Ando, but that seemed as though the referee was happy with his view of it, and happy at the time. Barcelona with rather a sense of entitlement there, expecting the decision.
Never
Newcastle played on and they could have scored again there.
Yeah, never a free kick. He's just stronger. Puts his arm across him, doesn't swing it. Goes down holding his face. There's nothing in that at all. Referee did well.
Goal kick taken and taken short. Ramsey on the edge of the area made a challenge. It's Pedri, and Barcelona, of course, with it being Pedri, come clear with it. They go back to the goalkeeper. Gordon is right beside Joan Garcia, who took his time to clear. And now on halfway, Dan Burns got it. Forwards it goes. Barnes is after this. Barnes has got it just inside the area. Back out wide. And with Lewis Hall now. A drop of the shoulder from Hall. Inside to Joelinton. He comes into a central position and plays it back to Chow. Trippier available wide, on to Ramsey, then to Trippier, finding space. Elanga ran in behind but then went offside. Trippier plays it against Pedri and it's a throw. It's Barcelona 2, Newcastle United 2 on the night, 3-3 on aggregate. And it's been quite some first half here in Spain. And there is so much more to come. Lewis Hall controls the ball on the near touchline, and then he comes inside and plays it out to the wide position, but Barnes didn't run. The goalkeeper's gone to get it. The goal is unguarded as he plays it inside to Gerard Martin and gets it back down the side of his penalty area. It's risky play, but they trust in each other. Now Malik Chow, great turn, takes two Barca players out, comes to halfway, to the right to Trippier, angled ball to Ramsey, in behind, no offside, Elanga, square for Anthony Gordon, oh, it's saved, and now the flag comes up belatedly. Well, it could have been and probably was Elanga, but it might have been Gordon. It's both of them in actual fact from the initial ball, and I think Gordon was behind Elanga when he played it, but they got in again, and it's the pace of the front three, it's the play down the sides that is giving Newcastle United their joy and their opportunities. And here's Dan Burn with a foul in midfield. He needs to be careful. He's one of the players that would face a suspension if he's yellow carded, but there is no booking for that challenge, fortunately, on Lewandowski in the middle of the Barcelona half, Andy.
Yeah, it's that high line Barcelona are playing, and it's causing them all sorts of problems. We spoke about the pace of the front three before the game, Reza, and they're causing Barcelona all sorts of problems.
Well, free kick taken by Bernal, who scored Barcelona's second, but Newcastle got level through Anthony Elanga, and they've got the ball back with Joelinton. He plays it behind Barnes and it goes out. 33rd minute at Camp Nou, live on BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Sounds. Araujo, the space, and a lot of it actually for Fermin Lopez, played across to the left side along the floor, not the paciest ball. Then Elanga's won it back and got it from Trippier and inside to Joelinton. Tonali to Elanga, good first touch, and on to Barnes quickly. Elanga's confidence will be soaring after his two goals. Here he is, inside to Barnes again. Elanga's got it back and now has found Hall, edge of the area. Lewis Hall holds it up, a back heel to Elanga. He cuts it back into the centre of the box and it's cleared. Joelinton recovers possession. Joelinton's been thrown to the floor. Surely that's going to be a yellow card for Fermin Lopez. Unbelievably, he gets away with it for Barcelona. What do they have to do to pick up a booking, whether it's here or at St James's Park? But it's a Newcastle. It's unbelievable. It's not a difficult decision to make. Joelinton is pulled to his feet by Sandro Tonali. This is the third free kick they've had in this sort of region of the pitch. This one's a bit further back. But prior to that, Elanga involved in a great move up the pitch from right side of their half to the left side of the penalty area. It didn't lead to a goal-scoring chance, but one might come from this free kick. Here's Tonali. at 2-2 on the night. And 3-3 on aggregate as darkness descends over Camp Nou. Hall rolls it to Barnes, right-footed, deep delivery. And Dan Burn got up, but it was too high, and it's patted down by Joan Garcia, who throws it out left wing to Rafinha. Infield he comes, and he plays it inside. Tonali chasing, gets across, and Sandro Tonali doing there what he does so well. Following runners, sprinting after balls, and snuffing out the danger. It's a Barcelona throw, and they go back into their own half with it. And Araujo plays it inside to Gerard Martin, a left-back playing at centre-half again. And this is Koubarsi. A foot on the ball at the back of the centre circle. Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall at the edge of the pitch for Newcastle United. Barcelona to Lamine Yamal. Harvey Barnes makes a block, and the teenager has won a free kick, and the ball rolled out for a throw. Didn't seem like there was a lot in that.
I didn't see that as a free kick.
Trouble here, edge of the box, but a good block by Dan Burn. Now Joelinton to Ramsey. Here's Elanga on to Gordon. Then Elanga goes. Gordon plays it back intelligently to Trippier. Nice football, and Trippier in behind, and Elanga chases after it. He's got there before his defender. Crosses for Gordon. It's blocked. It's come to Barnes, but it's won back by Barcelona. Then Ramsey for Joelinton, edge of the area. Back inside to Ramsey. Now Trippier up to Elanga, sent towards the corner. Elanga, with a defender at his back, has been dispossessed, and Barcelona come away with it. It's such an exciting game, even if they're not quite getting that moment to finish off the chance there in the middle. They are finding space, and they're playing some good football, Newcastle United. 2-2 tonight, 3-3 on aggregate, with less than 10 minutes to half-time. When they go forwards, my feeling from inside Camp Nou, Ando, is that they could score every time, Newcastle United, but I would also say you do get that feeling from Barcelona as well, with all of their quality.
Yeah,
Lewis Hall's just intercepted the ball, and now it's come for Gordon. Hall makes a run in behind. Joelinton's got it. They're still in their own half here, but it's across to Ramsey, and it's over to Trippier in space. We'll come back to you, Ando, as Kieran Trippier makes his way up the pitch and plays it in behind for Elanga, who's got there, and he's gone down edge of the area. Barcelona have put it out for a throw near the corner flag. That looked like it was right on the line. Defenders seem to have hands on him, and Kieran Trippier is complaining to Francois Letexier. And the Belgian VAR, Bram van Driesch, might have something to look at here, as Elanga went down just inside the box on the right. I don't know if you've had the chance to see that again, and whether it could be a penalty or not.
He puts his arm on his shoulder. You never know in the Champions League, Razor, do you?
There is a potential penalty check underway now. Yep, they are looking. VAR. 2-2. Newcastle could be about to be awarded a penalty. Anthony Elanga with 2 goals, running in behind. May have been brought down in the box, but no. I'm sure you're not surprised. It would have been.
It would have been very soft.
It would have been soft, yeah. They do have a throw not far from the corner flag on the right. Yeah, it would have been interesting to see if that had been in another part of the pitch, what the decision would have been. But here's the throw from Trippier. Burn trying to help it on. Barcelona clear it from Burn's flick. Lewis Hall on halfway. Takes a touch. Sends it back out to the right corner. Kieran Trippier sprinting but unable to get there. Barcelona throw, but Newcastle can stay quite high up the pitch here. And 39th minute, 2-2. Game seems to have, having been quite breathless during that opening period, maybe up to the second Newcastle equaliser, seems to have settled a little as Barcelona give it away in midfield, with Tonali coming onto the ball after it was played blind really into the centre. Chow to Joelinton, back to Chow. He's had to turn. Oh, and then he's been put under pressure, and Barcelona have got it, and they've got a spare man to the left. And here's Lewandowski, and Dan Burn, what a block! Lewandowski gets up and it's headed behind. Newcastle screaming for a free kick in the middle, but Dan Burn has just saved his colleagues there by sliding in and making the block on Lewandowski's effort after Chow went down. If that had gone in, maybe there would have been a check for a foul. It's going to be a corner, but it could have been disastrous for Newcastle United. However, it remains 2-2, and here's the corner about to come in, right-footed from the left. They've made mistakes tonight. That time they weren't punished. Here's the corner, and Araujo goes for it, and the referee has spotted a foul, and Newcastle get a free kick.
It's a great block.
They've just got to take extra care, haven't they, Ando, in midfield situations like that, because there's been too much of that, whether it was a foul or not, and it led to Dan Burn having to do some last-ditch defending.
It was a great block. It was a fabulous block. It looked like Lewandowski was going to score. He got a big, long leg out. Fabulous block, but causing our own problems. Taking chances in bad areas.
Ramsdale into the Barcelona's half. Trippier beaten in the air. Tonali's got it. Header on for Elanga. Tried to flick it on for Gordon. It was just blocked by the defender on the inside. Gordon was on the move, ready to run in behind. Pedri here across central midfield to Lamine Yamal. His penalty at St James's Park with his 4th Champions League goal. Newcastle have Harvey Barnes on 6 and Anthony Gordon on 10, 2 players with more than Yamal in Europe this season. And tonight, Anthony Elanga on 2. Tonali with a header, Araujo with a header, straight back to Tonali on his chest. It's been dispossessed though. Fermin Lopez on his blind side. Takes the ball off him. Tonali tries to make a challenge, slides in, wins it fairly in the view of the referee. Barcelona have it back. And now the whistle has gone for Tonali blocking off, or maybe holding, Pedri in the centre circle. 42nd minute. Send us a message to give us your view on the game at half-time. On X, it's at BBC Newcastle. Or on WhatsApp, put BBC at the start, and it's 08000 321 333. Lewandowski in between Newcastle midfield and defence lines up a shot after getting turned, but it's a weak effort that's straight at Ramsdale in the centre of the goal.
Yeah, comfortable save, wasn't it? But yet again, he's finding space. Everybody backed off, got torn. Seeing the goal, but a comfortable stop for Ramsdale.
Up to Elanga, couldn't hold it. Barcelona forwards, Tonali clears, Trippier inside, one back there by Fermin Lopez, edge of the area, down he goes, no free kick. Barcelona screaming for the decision. Now Tonali, good feet in midfield. Gordon running through the middle. They go wide left to Barnes on halfway. Gordon currently offside. Barnes taking it forwards, running at Araujo. Yamal gets back. He's found Hall in the area. Lewis Hall for the line. Hall's cross caught by the keeper at the near post. Now Lewis Hall's out of the game. Dan Burn comes to left back. Joe Linton drops in. Barcelona up to halfway. Hall sprints back on. Gordon comes now into midfield as Newcastle try and get more players behind the ball. It's another good move up the left wing. It's where the 2 goals have been created by good play out wide on this near side. Now they are defending as Barcelona break away and dangerously into the area. Burns sticks out a long leg to block. Hall jumps up and clears. He goes down, no foul. Harvey Barnes brings it away. Now Barnes inside to Gordon. Barnes sent tumbling. And it's a free kick. And finally Barcelona have a player in the book. Kubasi for the late challenge. As Barnes went for the 1-2 with Anthony Gordon. Araujo blocked off Barnes, but I think it was given for it was Kubasi on Gordon rather than Araujo.
Yeah,
appears to be the case. That's what I was thinking when Barnes went down. That's when I thought the whistle went, but it was not for that. It was for Kubasi. So there's another one that Barcelona have managed to have in their favour. And Sandro Tonali here is just getting some help from Newcastle's physio Sean Beach. Maybe after some sickness, Tonali just needs a breather. He has a water bottle. He'll have to go off for 30 seconds. So there'll be a player light for a short period, but we are almost at the end of the 45 minutes on BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Sounds, now under the lights at Camp Nou, though because the ground is unfinished behind both the goals, no floodlights or spotlights have been installed, but there is an LED board around the middle of the stadium with Champions League branding and sponsor logos on, and a scoreline of FC Barcelona 2, Newcastle United 2. And 3-3 on aggregate, and a minimum of 3 additional minutes at the end of the first half as Ramsdale aims the free kick to the edge of the area. Byrne jumps, then wins a second header. Barcelona to the edge of the box, Joelinton back into the middle, and Tonali has just come back on, and it's played back to Ramsdale, who goes forwards again, a long ball. Araujo heads it, Yamal keeps it in, then gets it back and is away from Joelinton. And this is a good run from Lamine Yamal, edge of the area. Lewandowski's moved it to Rafinha. Ramsdale with a save. The rebound is put over the bar. Oh, what a miss. What a miss by Lamine Yamal. Barcelona should have gone back in front. They had a free player, Rafinha, far side of the box. Ramsdale made a big save. Newcastle couldn't get it clear, and arriving late, Lamine Yamal has skied it when he should have buried it. It remains 2-2 and 3-3 on aggregate somehow.
What a miss. I mean, he does brilliant originally. It's a great bit of skill. He spreads it. Ramsdale does well, and he's got to score. I know it's on his least favourite foot, but you just got to roll that into the back of the net. Ramsdale, he'll be relieved as well, Ramsdale, because you can't be pushing the ball in there.
Well, it hit his left arm and then rebounded off another part of his body and into the middle for Barcelona. Newcastle in the Barca half. It's a sliced clearance, might go out for a throw. Joelinton's kept it in, found Barnes. His touch isn't quite what he wanted at Bernal, but then they've lost it. Barnes makes a challenge on Yamal, and most of the decisions are going Barcelona's way, but for the one yellow card they got when they could have had 2 in the same move. Barnes thought he'd won the ball cleanly. Referee said not. Free kick. Lamine Yamal takes it, plays it short to Araujo, and 30 seconds of the minimum 3 minutes remain. Can they go in level at half-time as Barcelona have the ball just inside United territory? And brilliant midfielder Pedri passes it to the right to Araujo. Yamal trying to roll it in behind Hall, and he's done so, and the cross to the far post is just ahead of Rafinha, who was coming in, and he went tumbling, and it's gone out for a throw. Barcelona are screaming for a penalty. There may have been some contact in the back or on the shoulder. VAR will no doubt check, and they're going to have a look at this. It was Trippier back post. I don't think he's getting there anyway, but Barcelona might well have the pressure on the officials to get the decision. Let's see what the referee is going to do. Newcastle will have a throw-in to take if the referee's on-pitch decision stands. You know, when you look at the Elanga situation at one end, how similar is that? Trippier at the back post, isn't it? Referee is surrounded by Barcelona players, and still we are waiting for the outcome. He's going to the screen. He's going to the pitch side monitor, and once again a big decision and a big Champions League night goes against Newcastle United. Shades of PSG both times away from home. Francois Letexier has been recommended to take a look at the monitor. I don't think Ando Rafinha's necessarily going to get there, although you never quite know. Barcelona players and staff are surrounding the referee at the monitor, trying to apply more pressure. Now there's arguments in the penalty box. Dan Burn involved. Rafinha's grabbed the ball. The assistant referee's come onto the pitch. Referee, he may have just shown a yellow card to a member of staff. He's just put it back in his pocket.
Tyndall, I think.
So Newcastle get another booking as Barcelona continue to berate Francois Letessier. He makes the VAR signal and he gives the penalty. And a yellow card for Kieran Trippier. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. You need a referee to be strong here tonight, and he has shown cards to Newcastle United with some quite alarming regularity, and Barcelona are getting everything their own way. But there is an argument that if he'd made that decision on the pitch for penalty, that it wouldn't have been overturned. But when you think about the one that Elanga didn't get, how much more contact was there on Rafinha than Elanga, who was
he did have hold
sent
of his
down
arm.
in the box. Yeah, there was contact. But if the referee on the pitch, who's close to it, thinks that it's not a penalty, as soon as he's sent to the monitor, he goes and changes his mind. And Lamine Yamal, the penalty in the last seconds with the last kick of the game at St James's Park, now has a penalty with what will probably be the last kick of the first half in the second leg, up against Aaron Ramsdale again. Ramsdale by his right hand post bangs his studs against the frame of the goal, now comes into the middle. He'll have prepared for this. Another penalty. Lamine Yamal to restore Barcelona's lead on the night. It's in across Ramsdale, who went the right way, seemed to get close, but it's a penalty, left-footed, whipped inside the right-hand post, and they will go in at half-time trailing 3-2 after another penalty in this two-legged tie for Barcelona, and Newcastle continue to argue with the referee. FC Barcelona 3, Newcastle United 2, 4-3 to Barca on aggregate.
Took it away well, same as what he did at St James's last week. Once he goes to the monitor, Razor, he's always going to give it, isn't it? I think, especially in these European games, once they go to monitors, they very rarely don't give the decision.
That's half-time. So Newcastle go in behind. Ramsdale, although he got close, it's
hands on
a penalty that was, he was bending away from him, and he might be a bit disappointed with that. You could see actually his reaction, because he obviously will have studied Lamal, maybe learnt something from last week when he went the wrong way. May have felt that he could have kept it out. Referee walking off the pitch now with Ronald Araujo, the Barcelona captain, having a conversation with him. I think the Newcastle staff have gone in, the players follow them. They'll feel a sense of injustice about some decisions. They're not happy about the penalty. Of course, they're going to plead their case and argue that it should have stood with the decision on the pitch from the referee. But as they go in at half-time with a deficit on the night and over aggregate, Ando, they have scored twice. They are not out of this, not at all. Certainly with one goal in it, it's not over.
No, definitely not. You would say there's more goals to come in this game. Defending from both sides has been poor. You know, you look at all the goals, you would say from a defensive point of view, both sets of defenders haven't been great. But it's definitely not over. There's still an awful lot to play in this game.
Elanga with 2 goals. What a night for him. Not too many other big chances. Gordon had an opportunity from a cross from the right, but down the sides they've had some joy, haven't they? And that's, I'm sure, what they'll continue to try to do, get down the sides.
Yeah, Barcelona playing such a high line, the pace of those three forward players is causing Barcelona all sorts of problems. And when they get down, when they get in those wide areas tonight, you know, we spoke about last week that final ball being disappointing. It hasn't been disappointing tonight. It's been so much better putting the ball in an area where people can go and attack it, and that's where the 2 goals came from.
A huge second 45 to come. That was probably always going to be the case, but a first half tonight that's had 5 goals. Newcastle equalising twice, Anthony Elanga on each occasion in Camp Nou, but Barcelona with a first half injury time penalty after a VAR check converted by Lamine Yamal means that they lead on the night by 3 goals to 2 and 4-3 on aggregate.
Scott Meakin, BBC Radio Newcastle.
So on the show recently, I was joined by one of our very own, Amelia Coburn. The singer is joining one of her heroes on stage. It's only Paul Weller.
I've idolised Paul since I was younger. I, in my childhood bedroom, I had posters from the NME and Uncut from years ago pinned up. So obviously when you're just chatting to him, I've got him in my contacts now, I WhatsApp him. That's surreal. You can't act like he's some god even though he is a demigod, you know? You have to just, because he's normal to me, he's very down to earth. You have to just be like very personal, and because that's how he is with me, and he's really lovely.
Scott Meakin.
Weekday afternoons from 2. BBC Radio Newcastle.
Goodness me, we had people predicting there weren't going to be many goals tonight. We've had 5 in the opening 48 minutes at the Nou Camp. Barcelona 3, Newcastle United 2, which makes it 4-3 on aggregate. Both Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson are going to have a bit of a rest across half-time, and they will be back with full commentary of the second half, of course, in just over 10 minutes' time. Normally we end half-time with the commentary highlights of the goals of the first half. That's going to take us most of the first half, I think. There were some absolute crackers in there as well. 2 for Anthony Elanga. At Newcastle, very much still in it. There are 3 other Champions League games tonight. None of them kick off until 8 o'clock, though. Bayern Munich are through, let's be honest. They're 6-1 up on Atalanta. Atletico Madrid almost certainly through as well. They're 5-2 up on Spurs. The winner of that one plays the winner of Newcastle and Barcelona, of course. And Liverpool 1-0 down at home to Galatasaray at 8 o'clock tonight. One game in the Europa League, though, that kicked off at 3:30 this afternoon, so it has already finished. It was in Portugal, and Sporting Braga did what Sporting Lisbon did last night and overturned a first leg even deficit. They were 2-0 down against Ferencváros from the first leg, but they won the home leg 4-0, and that is the aggregate score 4-2. But 3 other Champions League games tonight that kick off at 8 o'clock. It was a big night non-league wise last night as well. Gateshead beat Wealdstone by 1-0. Ash Boatswain, the striker, with his first goal for the club. Gateshead's revival continues. They are now level on points with Brackley, only goal difference separating the two sides either side of that dotted line on the National League table, that relegation zone. After the match, let's hear from the Gateshead manager, Rob Elliott.
Like I said to the boys, it's all about us. I think if we worry about opposition too much, we take away where we're trying to get to. You know, yeah, of course we're trying to stay up, I get that, but we're also trying to change the fortunes of the club. We're trying to get a squad together, we're trying to get to the highest level we can, and I think these lads have got so much further to go. But what they're doing for each other and the way they're playing is outstanding, so yeah, just really pleased and really proud of them all. I mean, what we saw first half is what this team could be, and then second half is where this team's at in terms of the fight and the doggedness and the togetherness, so really, really pleased with all of them. And I think the positive for me is that we get 3 points, we do it the ugly way. I think we could have killed the game second half, you know, could have scored the second or third, but look, that's football, and we're also in a really good team in great form, so to get a win against them is a brilliant victory, and we just need to continue and look forward to 2 very tough games coming up.
I was got a feeling with your previous squad here there was a genuine love from yourself towards them. Do you feel as if you are, I'm trying to put words in your mouth here, but kind of fallen in love with this group as well?
Oh yeah, honestly I have, and the lads will take the piss out of me in case I get a bit emotional when I'm talking to them, but I think this group ain't far from doing it, considering I knew them boys for so long. But you know what it is, it's more, it's not just the football and the characters, the people, the brilliant people, and they've taken to the club and they get what this club is, and that's the most important thing. We don't have anything, you know, we don't have all them things, but what we do have is that togetherness and, you know, that understanding of what this club can give to all of us. You know, the football journey that we've all been on, it gives us that little bit of shelter away from the generic football and the horrible side of football, and just gives the lads an opportunity to reset and go again.
Word on Saturday, obviously it's going to be a tough one at Bournemouth, it always is down there, but the lessons that you've learnt the last 2 games in particular will you know, stand you in good stead down there.
Yeah, it will do. Like, look, you're going into the 2 best in possession teams in 4 days, so it's going to be tough, but it's a chance to show where we're at. You know, I thought tonight We were absolutely brilliant. 2 different sides of the game. And we have to do that Saturday and Tuesday. But, that's what football's about. You've got to go and test yourself all the time, and hopefully the lads recover and get themselves ready so we can give ourselves the best opportunity.
Another great victory for Gateshead then, the 1-0 win over Wealdstone last night. Not such a good night for South Shields, beaten 3-0 away at Kings Lynn in National League North. Ian Watson missing last night's game for personal reasons as well, and they lost quite heavily on the road. In the NPL East Division last night, 2-2 draw for Ashington at home to Bridlington Town, and Blythe Town won as well. It is getting so exciting down the bottom of that table. They beat Brighouse Town 3-1. But one of the other big football stories in the last couple of days has concerned a match that actually took place a couple of months ago. Senegal say the fight is far from over and that they intend to appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport after the country was stripped of the 2025 Men's Africa Cup of Nations title. The Confederation of African Football announced the decision yesterday evening to award the victory to Morocco instead of Senegal, 2 months after the final was played. You may remember at the time all the controversy in that match, towards the end of that match, because a CAF appeal board eventually decided, and it was announced last night, that the Senegal team had forfeited the match when they left the field in protest at a penalty decision. The match was suspended for 18 minutes at the time. They did come back out. Morocco took the penalty and missed it, and then Senegal scored, won it, and were given the trophy. But 2 months later, after an appeal by Morocco, it's been decided that Morocco won it after all. Here to give us a little bit more oversight on it is the former Newcastle United and Cameroon international defender, Sebastien Basson.
I'd say my first reaction is, wow, yeah, I'm shocked. It's mind-blowing, but not in a positive way, in a very negative way. I have sympathy for each and every one of us that are in love with African football, because for me, the biggest victim is not necessarily Senegalese players or the Senegalese population. They are part of it, so for some of them, but it's all of us that have been working so hard to put African football where it is now. And this is, for me, we are the biggest victim. When I say we, everyone. Yeah, on top of that, Senegal, they got some part of responsibilities into it, because we shouldn't get things twisted. The way they conduct themselves, what they've done, they took a risk, and after every action, there's a consequences. Now, I think it's out of proportion. It's out of line. It's too much. So I'm hurt. I'm hurt about the overall thing, the way it just happened.
And Seb, you spoke to the players, Sadio Mane, Pap Thiaw, the head coach as well, after the game. What do you think the feeling will be like amongst the playing community, the Morocco players and the Senegal players? On the one hand, the Morocco players, do you think they'll really feel as though they've won the AFCON? And on the other hand, the Senegal players, could you ever see them giving their medals back?
I can't see them giving the medals back, first and foremost. Who's going to come, knock on your door, and force you to give what you think you've earned fairly? We're talking about sports, we're talking about competitors, high level of sports, elite of sports. Whether it's the Senegalese players or the Moroccan players, what they want is to be crowned champion fair and square. They don't want no title due to a controversial decision. It's not going to make you feel any better. Whether you're Moroccan, I can guarantee that none of them is going to be no players going to be celebrating that I'm African champion. No, because then what they want is to win it on the green rectangle. When things happen 2 months later, you don't even celebrate with your fans. They've taken away everything that is supposed to be part of this whole celebration or this whole meaning of winning that cup, especially at home, especially for the Moroccans. What's the point for them to be crowned champion and on their own soil not being able to have this celebration with the people after 50 years? And on the other side, the Senegalese, I don't know, we've made 3 steps forward, now with a 10 step back. And that's what hurts me the most.
Sebastian Bassong, the other former Newcastle United and Cameroon defender, talking about that decision to strip Senegal of their AFCON title and award it to Morocco. And you may remember that the women's AFCON that was due to take place this month was postponed. The entire tournament just postponed at a couple of weeks' notice as well. So not a great week or two for African football's reputation. Away from football, the Ireland head coach Scott Baymond has signed a contract extension that'll take him through to the conclusion of the 2029 Women's Rugby World Cup. In tennis, Arina Sabalenka, the world number one, has described criticism of her late withdrawal from the Dubai Championships last month as ridiculous. She pulled out 2 days before it started. There is quite a lot going on in the Middle East, so it is a very quickly evolving situation. And finally, Bolton is bidding to become the first English host of the Ryder Cup in more than 30 years. The Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham announcing today a funding package with a focus on infrastructure around a new golf course to support the bid to host the event in 2035. It includes a new £70 million link road as well. Andy Burnham said today the bid was not pie in the sky and that there had been promising conversations with organisers about bringing the tournament to a bespoke world-class course at Hulton Park. But that is the ambition for Bolton to host the Ryder Cup in 2035. Right then, we'll hand back to the new camp very shortly then, because Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson will take you through the second half, and if it's anything like as exciting as the first half, we've got quite the 45 minutes in store.
Half-time highlights.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Now there's a turn from Lamine Yamal and a slip by Newcastle. They've had 2 slips and an opportunity which is taken. Rafinha has scored. Malik Chow slipped in the centre, and then when the ball was played in behind, Lewis Hall slipped, and Barcelona, through Fermin Lopez, rolled it back to Rafinha, who guided it into the bottom left corner of Ramsdale's goal. Slips it away from his man, gives it to Barnes. Now Hall could play it in. They've got Elanga in the middle. Anthony Elanga with a chance to equalise, and he has! Anthony Elanga in Camp Nou for Newcastle United. And it's Rafinha, which is right of centre. That's about 30 yards out. Chip to the far post. Barca head it down, and they've scored again in the middle. It's a tap in right in the centre, and Newcastle United should have defended that better. Lewis Hall for Barnes in the area. Barnes on the outside. Barnes has crossed. Elanga back post and scored again. He's got 2 in Camp Nou. Anthony Elanga. Would you believe it? What a story. Lamine Yamal to restore Barcelona's lead on the night. It's in across Ramsdale, who went the right way. Seemed to get close, but it's a penalty, left-footed, whipped inside the right-hand post, and they will go in at half-time trailing 3-2.
Total Sport North East.
The Champions League. Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
3-2 to Barcelona on the night after 45 minutes. 4-3 to the Spanish champions on aggregate. Newcastle United might be bringing on Tino Livramento. He is on the pitch with a bib over his black and white shirt. Dan Burn has got a captain's armband on, which tells you that Kieran Trippier has handed that duty across to him. So Trippier yellow carded in first half, added on time after the VAR check, giving away the penalty for the push on Rafinha, and he is not going to come out for the second half. Tino Livramento is being introduced by Newcastle United, and they've got their 2 brilliant young fullbacks. Lewis Hall again with some strong moments in that first half, involvement in both goals for Anthony Elanga at left back, and Livramento on at right back for Trippier. Substitution confirmed. So Ramsdale, Livramento, Chow, Burn, Hall, Ramsey, Tonali, Joe Linton, who has been yellow carded, and Elanga, Barnes and Gordon, the front three. On the bench, Pope, Ruddy, Harris, Botman, Wissa, Osula, Jacob Murphy, Voltemada, Willock, Alex Murphy and Neve. Barcelona, Joan Garcia in goal, Araujo, Kubasi, Gerard Martin, João Cancelo, Fermin Lopez, Pedri, Marc Bernal, Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, Lewandowski. And Barcelona make their way back onto the pitch. They go into a huddle. They're going to kick off this second half here on BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Sounds. If you're going to be on the move, if you're heading away from our area, the northeast, then take us with you on the free BBC Sounds app. Just search for BBC Radio Newcastle. And a massive second half, maybe more. There could be more football if this goes the distance, if it finishes level after 90 minutes into extra time, and however long it takes. We'll be here in Camp Nou. John Anderson in our studio giving us his analysis as well. We'll be here right to the very end. Newcastle United's Champions League campaign rests on this second half. Barcelona from the back on the right hand side. Dan Burn with a header out just past halfway, and a throw now to be taken by the captain Araujo. Bang on halfway. Ando, give us a sense of what the half-time direction from Eddie Howe would have been, whether it's just a reiteration of what he told them before the game and just to keep going at it.
Yeah, most definitely. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just tighten up defensively. You know, there were poor goals to give away, but the overall performance in that opening 45 minutes, I don't think Eddie Howe would have had too many complaints about.
Barcelona come into central midfield. Araujo to Pedri, and he finds a gap, which he tends to do. There's Rafinha away from Livramento. No foul. Tonali's got it, but it's been overrun. And João Cancelo for Pedri. And Fermin Lopez delivers a cross. Malik Chow's header, controlled edge of the area by Joelinton. Now they need a pass. They found Livramento. There's nothing ahead really. Inside to Ramsey. He plays it against a Barcelona shirt. And João Cancelo now wide left inside to the feet of Pedri and Bernal, the scorer of their second goal tonight. 3-2 on the night. 4-3 Barcelona on aggregate. And they're playing it around with Newcastle United sitting in behind the ball. Anthony Gordon now goes after it. Joelinton breaks from midfield. Pau Kubasi across halfway to Araujo. Yamal back to Bernal. Tonali is with him. Newcastle make a challenge. Barnes has got it. This is Hall who has to turn, come inside, drop of the shoulder. Oh, and back on the outside. Superb from Hall. Wants to get Gordon in behind. He's looking for Elanga. Oh, it's back pass that's come off the defender. João Cancelo. We got very lucky because it just hit him and ended up at the feet of Joan Garcia inside the 6-yard box. Could potentially have gone anywhere, but brilliant play once again from Lewis Hall.
Great feat, wasn't it? To get himself out of that tight angle.
Joan Garcia along the floor pings it out to João Cancelo in his second spell with Barcelona. Portuguese international. He's got it again on this near side. Plays it back to his goalkeeper once more. And as Newcastle United push up, they stay high. Pedri receives it in the penalty area. Now Kubasi to Yamal and a little layoff to Pedri and Araujo. It's away from Tonali, and now they take it with Fermin Lopez. Araujo joining the attack, playing it back. It's taken a deflection and a shot pushed away by Ramsdale and flicked clear by Burn. They're still on the attack. Here's Bernal right of centre, 25 yards from United's goal. Pedri then with a short pass. Play it now to Lamine Yamal. Couple of step overs. Back on the outside. Lamine Yamal hangs up across. Rafinha goes for it. Livramento's header. Elanga lifts it clear. Got rid of the danger, but Can't find Gordon. Now João Cancelo up the side for Lewandowski into the 6-yard box, and Rafinha just on the 6-yard line with a missed kick, gathered comfortably by Ramsdale at his near post.
Yeah, they've seen plenty of the ball in the opening 4 minutes, haven't they? Barcelona sitting in a little bit. Comfortable save in the end for Ramsdale.
Ramsdale's just got the ball back after they played it out short and floated a pass too high for Lewis Hall on the far side. Barcelona throw. It's not been an attacking start to the half by Newcastle United. They're trying to win the ball back here in midfield. Pedri protecting it, Jacob Ramsey at his back in the Barcelona half. They play it square. Barnes and Gordon here, edge of the area. Joan Garcia to Gerard Martin. Tonali in midfield wins it. Livramento here, left side of central midfield. Didn't expect to see him pop up there, but he's found Tonali. Barnes has run well offside, so Tonali takes it up the left wing. Barnes has gone onside, gets it now, makes a break. Hall finds a bit of space but goes on the outside with it. There's 3 in the penalty area, still with Lewis Hall. He's been tackled. Says he didn't really have an option. And Pedri with the ball. Back to Fermin Lopez. And Lamine Yamal, 30 yards from his own goal, rolls it back to Joan Garcia. Barcelona still lead on the night, 3-2, 4-3 on aggregate. They come to the right, to this near side, Newcastle's right. João Cancelo back to Gerard Martin, the centre-back with bright orange boots, rolls the ball forwards. Hall tries to win it, and Rafinha's played it on. Oh, they're in behind, it's 1-on-1, and it's into the bottom corner from Fermin Lopez, and that could be crucial. Barcelona have opened up a 2-goal lead on Newcastle United on the night and on aggregate. They'll check for offside, but the ball whipped around the corner by Rafinha to release Fermin Lopez, who buried it into the bottom corner. Barcelona 4, Newcastle United 2, 5-3 on aggregate.
Great move, wasn't it? Moved it so well, but yet again the defending leaves a lot to be desired. We just opened up. As good as it was.
He's onside, so the goal will stand. No offside against Fermin Lopez. Ramsdale beaten for a 4th time tonight, and that really does change things because they need 2 more without reply. Newcastle, and Barcelona had started better than they had in the second half, and they have another goal for their efforts. Newcastle with an even bigger effort required now to get back into this, John Anderson.
Yeah, it's a long way back now. One behind, you're always in the game. You've got to change your game plan a little bit now because you've got to throw caution to the wind. You start doing that, you leave yourself very exposed with the back. And as we've already seen tonight, even playing the way that we've played, we've been so exposed because we haven't defended well at all tonight.
They defended at Chelsea, got a clean sheet, and they haven't had too many of those this season in the league. Now they're under pressure. Barcelona into the area. Tonali gets back brilliantly and puts it behind. There's great energy from Tonali, and always the risk when you make a challenge in the box that it could be one that leads to a penalty, but he got across Fermin Lopez there and just got a toe on the ball, and then it was a fresh air shot from Fermin, but corner kick. Tonali might be struggling physically a little bit. They've called for the physio again, 2nd time tonight. Nick Voltemada and Jacob Murphy are warming up. They also have Joe Willock on the bench, Sven Botman, Johan Wissa, William Osula as senior options. But 4-2 down on the night. Hard to see them at this stage as we digest that latest Barcelona goal coming back, but what they do have, because we are only 9 minutes into the second half, is lots of time remaining. And you wouldn't have seen 3-2 at half-time. 2 goals for Anthony Elanga, equalising twice. So that's one of the reasons that we love football, because it can surprise you in a good way. You never know what's going to happen. And they have played their part this evening. They've just been level at best. Never ahead on the night. And only ahead for about 10 minutes with the late goal in the first leg from Harvey Barnes. Joe Willock is getting ready to come on, and that might be the end of Sandro Tonali's night. Hopefully he will be fine for the derby on Sunday.
You see that goal again, Razor, and you see where Dan Bourne is. You know, he's 20 yards, 15, 20 yards in the Barcelona half, and you go, what are you doing there? Why are you in there?
Is that because they've gone man-to-man? Is he with Lewandowski? Is that...
No, he wasn't with Lewandowski.
They've made the change and they're all back to defend now. Willock is on for Tonali. Newcastle change, second of the night. Barcelona left-footed corner from the right. It's in. It's a header from the back post. And it's Lewandowski who's scored. There was so much whip on that corner kick. Ramsdale couldn't cut it out. And at the back post, although he had a defender with him, Robert Lewandowski nods it back across goal and in. And that might just be the end of Newcastle United's Champions League campaign. Barcelona 5, Newcastle United 2, 6-3 on aggregate.
Just straightforward, wasn't it? Corner whipped in, back post, got above his marker, headed it in. I mean, what? We've only played 10 minutes in the second half.
There's nobody on the back post. Ramsdale there. Is he being impeded? It was Livramento with Lewandowski. There was a player in the middle backing into the goalkeeper. But it was such a great delivery to the back post, wasn't it? Nobody was able to get in the way of that and stop it reaching Lewandowski, who just headed it back across and in, and Newcastle have kicked off again. And now they need 3 goals.
A long way back now, isn't it?
They lost the ball from the kick-off and now they've won it back. Dan Burn on the diagonal, but cut out by Barcelona. Lewandowski. Here it goes. Back to Gerard Martin. Wissa is now warming up. The touchline on the right-hand side. Barcelona threaded through ball. Lewandowski can't catch it. I suspect Eddie Howe might give it a little bit longer, but then start thinking about Sunday and saving players' legs. Oh, hang on, Anthony Gordon, edge of the area. Barcelona back to the keeper. Oh, goodness me, that kick out from Joan Garcia nearly fell to Anthony Elanga. Now Joe Willock's won it fairly on the left. Barcelona, as they do, screaming for a free kick. Some of the players had stopped. Newcastle play on. Barnes to Hall. Hall's cut back, blocked, and then cleared. There were 4, maybe 5 in black and white ready for the ball, but Lewis Hall unfortunately hit a defender. He's now got it again and he sends it in looking for Barnes, and it's blocked at the near side of the 6-yard box and then cleared. They've had 2 or 3 moments there in the space of 60 seconds, but it wouldn't quite land, it wouldn't fall for them. And they're still 5-2 down on the night. Elanga with a flick on for Willock. Wants to make his way up the right touchline. Willock on Pedri. Free kick for Barcelona.
Just dragged him back, didn't he? He is a player, Pedri. Exceptional.
Ball back in play. Gerard Martin at walking pace. Almost at the hour mark. BBC Radio Newcastle, BBC Sounds. Bernal to the left. As I hope you can hear, the atmosphere is fantastic, and it's coming from about 60,000 home supporters. Most of the seats have been taken. There's a small section near to Newcastle's away fans on the upper tier of the far side that is
Joe Willock's going to pick up a yellow card.
Yeah, Willock has just been booked for a pullback on Pedri. Got hold of his shirt, dragged him back, stopped him getting away. Not particularly different to what you called a rugby tackle on Joe Linton earlier that wasn't punished by a yellow card, but that's the inconsistency of UEFA Champions League refereeing, it seems. No problem with Willock getting booked, but no yellow card for Barcelona for something similar. It's a brilliant diagonal ball from the left to Lamine Yamal on the right wing. Lewis Hall with a clean challenge, great defending. Only Gordon really to hit. Hall is now under pressure, he's facing his own goal, plays it to Byrne, who turns it clear. Araujo there with a header on into midfield for Barcelona. Eddie Howe with players warming up still. Osula, Voltemada, Wissa and Murphy. They've made 2 changes. Unless Tonali was a concussion substitute, they can't make 4 more, only 3 more. Lamine Yamal here, great play. Lewandowski's in for another. Lewandowski scores another. And it really is all over for Newcastle United in the Champions League. Once again, cut open, sliced open at the back. Chow couldn't intercept the through ball, and Robert Lewandowski, who'd only managed to score against Slavia Prague and FC Copenhagen in the Champions League this season, has got a second half double against Newcastle United. And after 62 minutes, it's Barcelona 6, Newcastle United 2, and 7-3 on aggregate. And if we're not careful, we're going to get to Newcastle Karabag levels of aggregate score here.
What a turn in midfield. He just waltzes past Dan Burn and then plays an unbelievable ball. We didn't see a great deal of him at St James's. We've probably seen too much of him tonight, to be quite honest.
Sven Botman is going to come on, and I think they do need to make a change at the back, and there may well be a view from you listening to us that Botman should have started. But Eddie Howe has liked the Byrne and Chow partnership, but it has not worked tonight. Mind you, they are up against brilliant Barcelona. Here's Gerard Martin back to the goalkeeper under pressure from Elanga. Joan Garcia to Bernal in the box, nowhere to go except back out wide. Gerard Martin blocked by Elanga, it's a throw. Voltemada's coming on as well. I can only spot 2. In fact, no, here's the third one, Jacob Murphy. So that's going to be it in terms of substitutions. No Osula, no Wissa, because they've made 5, or they will be making 5. Free kick awarded. Joe Linton has committed a foul. And now attention turns to the touchline. At the moment, it's only Botman and Murphy who are ready. Voltemada was getting ready. Maybe they're not going to make that change as well just yet. BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Sounds, we're with you till 8 o'clock tonight as Newcastle United are heading out of the Champions League. Joe Linton leaving the pitch, and Sven Botman comes on for him, and Anthony Elanga with 2 goals, and you have to congratulate and credit him. 2 wonderful moments that gave Newcastle belief and the opportunity to dream in the first half. 2 equalisers from Elanga, but when that VAR check led to the penalty in first half added on time, it was the beginning of this slipping away. But it hasn't just slipped in the second half, it has well and truly escaped from their grasp. 6-2 to Barcelona on the night, and they've gone to a back 5, Ando.
Yeah, he's obviously damage limitations, isn't it, by the looks of it? He hasn't liked what he's seen in the in this second half, and he's gone to a 5. We've just been so easy to play against defensively. Defensively, we've been poor. We thought we'd sorted it out as well, Razor, in recent weeks, the defensive side of the game. But it's raised this ugly head again tonight, hasn't it?
Barcelona leading 6-2 on the night. What was an exciting, entertaining, end-to-end, close first half. Second half has been anything but. Barcelona 3 unanswered second half goals. And Newcastle not really a sniff at the other end, unfortunately. Triple change about to be made by Hansi Flick. Their only home defeat wherever they've played was against PSG here in, well, not here, but in Barcelona in October in the Champions League. Unbeaten since coming back, and only in 2 matches have they scored fewer than 3 goals at home on their return to Camp Nou. Now a slip by Byrne, and no foul and space. Fermin Lopez, Chow intercepts this time, thank goodness, on the edge of the area, onto Livramento, looking for Murphy up the line, it's gone out. Barcelona can make their changes. Here they come, João Cancelo leaving the pitch, replaced by Xavi Espart, who came on for his first appearance, the young defender at St James's Park late on. Also coming on for Barcelona is, looks like Ferran Torres. Dani Olmo is next on, the player that won the late penalty at St James's. And Robert Lewandowski is leaving the pitch, and so too is Fermin Lopez. So that's the Barcelona triple change, which has been made in the 66th minute. Livramento with a throw. Newcastle United playing a competitive match in Spain for the first time in 21 years since they were beaten by Deportivo La Coruña 2005 in the Intertoto Cup. Remember that competition, which they played in a few times in the 2000s. Only competitive win in Spain was in the UEFA Cup. It wasn't even on the mainland, it was against Mallorca in the UEFA Cup in 2003-2004 on their way to the semi-finals that season. They will not be making the semi-finals of the Champions League. They trail by 4 goals on the night and on aggregate. Barcelona with a free kick on the left, too high for Araujo, and it goes out for a United throw. Left fullback Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall still in conversation. You said damage limitation, Ando. It becomes about pride and not wanting to suffer the concession of any more goals here when you've let in 6 tonight. One of them a penalty, but the others, most of the others, you will look at and say, even with Barcelona's quality, which does make the task defensively harder, that they should have done a lot better.
Yeah, you've got to question the defending. I think it's something they'll look at and think, could we have done a lot better defensively? You know, we've just been opened up, but the defending overall, from both sides, to be fair, hasn't been great on the night.
Well, they haven't really seen in this second half, bar that 60 seconds or so where they got into the box on the left side a few times, is any meaningful Newcastle attack. And on that occasion, each time the final ball wasn't what was required, Barcelona roll it into the box, Ramsdale picks it up. It's 6-2 and 7-3 on aggregate in favour of 5-time winners Barcelona. On the edge of the area here, Chow plays it straight back to a Barcelona shirt, straight back to Pedri. Of all the players, don't give it to him, because if he's got it, it'll be a while before you see it again. Here is the little midfielder Number 8, Pedri, helped on to Dani Olmo, and then Ferran Torres, shot blocked in the middle of the box. Pedri now to Xavi Espat, and Lamine Yamal with some tricks on the far side. Espat in the penalty area, he looks for the back post, it's too high, too long, but kept in by Gerard Martin. And now Araujo just in front of the centre circle. Jacob Ramsey dispossesses Olmo, edge of the area. Good win by Ramsey. Livramento nudged over, free kick, foul by Rafinha. Close to the corner of the box, Livramento just rubbing the small of his back. Ramsdale leaves the penalty area to take the free kick. 20 minutes remaining. Ando, might feel like a long 20 minutes. The first half absolutely whizzed by. And
first half,
not the case.
No. I mean, they came out of start of the second half, they flew, didn't they? Those 2 quick goals really changed the whole complexion of the game. And it's just keep ball for them now, isn't it?
Another one in behind. Newcastle now with a back 5 and Botman on, have it covered. Long ball forwards. Barcelona header winning the first balls and the second balls. And Olmo away from Willock and wide to the left wing to Rafinha. Taking on Livramento. Goes for the outside, deflected cross. Byrne chests it down. Plays it to Jacob Murphy. Good first touch, gets away. Gordon comes short. Murphy across to Barnes, who carries it back over to this near side. Now Livramento. It's good football by Newcastle, just keeping the ball and trying to get up the pitch, but now their forward routes all blocked off, and back to Ramsdale, and he chips it out to Byrne, who lets it run. Hall can't keep it in. Bernal on his left, the tall midfield player, inside to Kubasi. Gerard Martin's now at left back, and Araujo has gone inside to centre half, into the box, straight to Ramsdale. 6-2 on the night to Barca, 7-3 the aggregate score. Newcastle have at least continued their run of scoring in every Champions League match, all 12 this season. 28 Champions League goals in total. Jacob Ramsey, oh no, given away. Ramsey, Rafinha has got another one. Jacob Ramsey with a ball played across the box straight to Rafinha. You can't be doing that. And Rafinha has hit the back of the net, and this is starting to turn ugly. Barcelona 7, Newcastle United 2, 8-3 the aggregate score.
Wow, it's a really poor ball. It's one of those knocked into him. Say he plays on the half turn and he's tried to just lift it round the corner, and he's got it all wrong, hasn't he? Straight to Rafinha. Nobody near him waltzes into the box and puts it into the back of the net. Again, it's another really poor goal from our point of view. He's trying to pick out Chow, but gets nowhere near enough on it. And with the quality that they've got in forward areas, you don't need to be giving them opportunities like that.
They cannot defend like this on Sunday. If you are red and white and listening to black and white commentary tonight, you might be feeling excited about the prospect of this sort of defending. They had a good move there, Newcastle, from the kickoff. Byrne with a header inside to Gordon, who played it forwards, but Barnes held his run, and Barcelona get it back. So a rare foray forwards, and nothing comes of it. The Karabag tie finished 9-3 on aggregate, didn't it? This is 8-3 to Barcelona. Malik Chow, Barcelona could have had a free kick. Lamine Yamal appeals. Here's Ramsey to Willock across to Hall. Barnes giving them width over on the far side, gets it, brings it back inside to Ramsey, plays it first time to Byrne. The 7th meeting between the clubs. Newcastle's only win was the first one, the famous one in '97. They should have won last week, really. Would it have made much of a difference tonight? Who knows? They would still have needed a result in Camp Nou. The result that they are going to be on the receiving end of is a heavy defeat, a battering in terms of the scoreline, especially in this second half. Barcelona have the ball, and Gerard Martin looking for runners in behind. And they've got one, and a layoff. Jacob Murphy makes a block, so too does Joe Willock in midfield. It's an offside, actually. A very late flag, as is customary. So free kick, 10 yards in front of the penalty box. Eddie Howe could still make another change, but there's nothing happening on the touchline. No activity. Maybe somebody out there might benefit from a break of 10, 15, 20 minutes if you include additional time ahead of Sunday. Barcelona will be finding out whether they will play one of their big rivals, kind of the third of three in terms of challenging for the big honours in Spain, Atletico Madrid, but a huge club in their own right, and they have won La Liga in recent times, or Tottenham Hotspur if Spurs can overcome a 3-goal deficit. Here Newcastle are 5 goals behind in the tie after a disastrous second half. Barnes with an interception near the centre circle. Botman to Byrne. Back inside to midfield to Ramsey. Livramento's got it. Not really had many opportunities to do this. Go forwards. Murphy runs in behind. He's offside. Jacob Murphy's offside. He crosses it, but Barcelona clear. Now the flag comes up and the whistle goes. And the cross didn't reach Gordon anyway. Murphy went too early. Psychologically, Ando, how could this affect them? Because it's hard enough, isn't it, at Camp Nou without the ball, losing to Barcelona, but with a 5-goal margin of victory potentially, or as it stands, that's really going to take something out of Newcastle, isn't it?
Yeah, look at it. They're not going to be happy with the way that they've defended, both individually and collectively. You know, not just the back four, but as a team. You know, in this second half, Barcelona.
Now Barcelona in the box. Ramsdale has to come out of his goal to make a challenge and stop the ball going into the centre, and then the offside flag comes up against Ferran Torres eventually, but he was out wide in the box. Ramsdale with him a long way from his goal. The keeper made a block, then the flag went up. Sorry, Ando, you were saying.
Yeah, look, we just haven't defended well. It was individually and collectively we've been poor. Decision making from a defensive point of view hasn't been great. You know, second half we just didn't come out. Second half. You know, we didn't start the second half well at all, and you cannot give a side of this quality goals like we've given Barcelona tonight.
That's the voice of John Anderson, the former Newcastle United defender. As always, part of our coverage on BBC Radio Newcastle. We're also on BBC Sounds tonight, and we're going to be with you till 8 o'clock. And a little bit of time to pick apart some of the things that have gone wrong as their Champions League campaign draws to a close. And it'll all be about trying to return to Europe through their Premier League position, which has improved with 2 league wins in a row over Man United and Chelsea. 3 points from the top 7. Top 5, probably, although with the performance of English teams in the Champions League, not necessarily going to mean Champions League. Definitely top 4, 9 points off the top 4, 7 from the top 5. It may not be this competition for them next season, but they could still get into Europe. Barcelona with possession. Now into the box, Lamine Yamal in for another. Ramsdale makes a good save off his line, central part of the goal. They come wide right, Newcastle. Gordon with a nice nutmeg and a great pass. What a ball by Gordon for Harvey Barnes. Could they get one back here, Newcastle? Barnes, edge of the area, goes for the bottom corner, but it's straight at Joan Garcia, who made the save actually more towards the middle of the goal and throws it out quickly. And Newcastle's final change will be the introduction of William Osula, and it might be just to protect Anthony Gordon or perhaps Harvey Barnes late on in the game. I'm sure everybody on the bench would have been desperate to come on, but Osula has got the call. That was a chance, and it was a nice move. Gordon did well.
Yeah, good ball, wasn't it? Great little ball in behind St. Barnes. Numerous occasions drifted in off that left side, but he's hit it straight at the goalkeeper, who looks like he's done his calf.
Joan Garcia, the goalkeeper, they signed from Espanyol, their rivals, across the city in the summer. A team that came to St James's Park in pre-season. It was linked to Newcastle before that 25 million move. He's gone down. One of their backup goalkeepers on the bench is Wojciech Chesney, once of Arsenal, and goalkeeper for the 4-4, and Chesney is coming on for Joan Garcia, and William Osula is coming on for Newcastle United in the latter stages. We're in the 81st minute. Send us your summary of the match, please. You can WhatsApp by putting BBC at the start of your message and using the number 08000 321 333. That's 08000 321 333. Save it to your phone. Our WhatsApp number. Make sure you start your message with BBC. Barcelona have made the change as Wojciech Chesney now prepares to step onto the pitch. Joan Garcia walking off, and Newcastle have already taken off Anthony Gordon and brought William Osula on in their final substitution tonight. You can also give us a ring on 0800 234 6565. 0800 234 6565 is BBC Radio Newcastle's number. Great reception for Chesney. He had come out of retirement last season to join Barcelona as a backup goalkeeper, 35 now. They play it back to him, and he has a touch. He's played in now 4 Champions League matches this season. Forwards to Araujo and Newcastle with Ramsdale in goal, Livramento, Chow, Botman, Byrne, Hall, the back 5, Murphy, Willock, Ramsey, Barnes and Osula up front. That is how they are finishing the match. Osula chasing a back pass, Chesney with a touch across the penalty area. Barcelona into the corner on the left, up the line. Newcastle with a high press. Barca have it. Ramsey wakes a good challenge, tries to find Murphy, and then Barcelona get an important touch on the ball. Joe Willock makes a tackle, and it goes out for a Newcastle throw about level with the edge of the penalty area on this near side. If they could get one back, it would narrow the gap, but it's a 5-goal deficit at the moment, and it's not a good look. So they would like to get another one on the board. Livramento's long throw, Barcelona header though. Livramento chases after it. Barca get to the ball. Livramento and Murphy combine to win it back for Willock. Nowhere to go really. Willock comes out wide. It's gone out for a Newcastle throw just behind halfway. Still on the near right hand side of the pitch. Botman with possession. Chow comes back from his forward position following the long throw, gives it back to Botman, and he finds Lewis Hall, takes it down well, comes inside, rolls away from his man, goes back outside. Hall finds the feet of Barnes, who slips, but they get a free kick. Actually, it was a foul. Another soft one. A soft one that's gone in Newcastle's favour. Back to Byrne and now Botman. Ramsdale leaves the penalty area to get this pass. It's Chow. And Livramento on at half-time for Trippier, who'd been yellow-carded after conceding the penalty following the VAR check for the foul on Rafinha in front of goal. Newcastle United still with it. Possession near to their own goal. Livramento flicks it inside. He's given it to Dani Olmo. Lamine Yamal here. Central position goes back to Javi Espat. And there's a Mexican wave going around, but only in the Barcelona section. The Newcastle supporters don't fancy joining in. They're not in the mood. 7-2 to the Spaniards on the night. 8-3 on aggregate. Quite unbelievable, really. And Newcastle level twice in the first half through Anthony Elanga on each occasion. And at sunset in Barcelona, it was looking good, but as darkness fell, it really came down on Newcastle United, and it just got worse and worse. And a second half that's been a disaster with 4 unanswered Barcelona goals. Lamine Yamal with a curling shot. Aaron Ramsdale, it squirmed out of his grasp, but he gathered it. The second time of asking, under no pressure. And 5 minutes of normal time to play.
Yeah, second half has been so comfortable for Barcelona. Came out of the traps quick. We didn't come out of the dressing room at the start of that second half. Give away 2 early goals, and you're always chasing your tail from then on in.
Throw for United, far side, Dan Byrne there. Swings his left boot at it, Livramento. It's a bouncing ball, and it's been a breezy night, and the wind, I think, was carrying it as well. And they've only been able to put it out of play. They're looking mentally, physically tired. And they just want the whistle. Botman with an interception, edge of the area. Rafinha's got it. Dan Byrne has to come across and stick it out of play. Probably the 2 things that they would hope for in the final few minutes. Well, 3 things. Not much added on time, but also would be not to concede again, and maybe if they can get up the other end of the pitch, get one back. They've only had 1 attempt in the second half, and that was Barnes' shot, comfortably saved. Osula chases a back pass from Araujo. Chesney waits for Osula to come, drop of the shoulder, goes the other way. Up to Olmo with Chow and Willock nearby. They have it through Murphy. Well played. Osula now edge of the area. It's a heavy touch. Ramsey's got it. And Barnes 5 yards from the Barcelona box. Inside to Ramsey. Lots of blue and red shirts get back. Osula. There's 3 or 4 step overs there. And he's won a throw near the corner flag. Just keeps Newcastle on the attack. And that's a rare sight in this second half. Lewis Hall. It's going to be a long throw. Botman's in there. Byrne is near post. Chow. Corner of the 6-yard box. Osula on the penalty spot. They look for Chow. Ramsey's got it. Blocked shot from Ramsey. It's going to go behind for a corner. And it really smacked. I think it was Araujo on the back of the head. That was powerfully struck.
Was well.
Don't know whether it was going in or whether it was rising, but they've got a corner on the left. Once they have made a check on the Barcelona captain Ronald Araujo, having been hit on the back of the head or the neck by the ball.
Yeah, caught him right on the side of the head. That ball was travelling.
And the Barcelona flags and the flags of Catalonia, those colours are out again, just as they were at kick-off ahead of what's been a big night for Barcelona and a big win. But here's the Newcastle corner, and Barnes with a header at the near post, just wide of goal. And that might have been their chance to get one more back. Harvey Barnes score it in the first leg, off target with that near post header. Still 7-2 to Barcelona on the night, 8-3 on aggregate.
Yeah, decent delivery, wasn't it? Made that little run across the defender to the near post. Just couldn't get enough on the header.
Joe Willock's won it back from a Barcelona ball up midfield, and Harvey Barnes runs in behind away from Xavi Espart. He's onside. He's got it near the corner. Still holding it up. Finding Ramsey, corner of the penalty area. Now Willock. They need something. They've got Hall. I think Hall might have run offside. He's got the shot away. And it's saved low down by Chesney. Flag didn't go up. A big cheer to greet Wojciech Chesney, denying Lewis Hall. Araujo's gone down. Chesney's thrown it out of play. Seconds away from the numbers board, but there's a concussion possibility here, and they might just have to get him off, make a change.
Yeah, he got it smack on the temple as well, right on the side of the head. Ball was travelling.
Dan Byrne having a conversation with the referee.
Sorry, Razor. Something that looked so promising at half-time. At half-time, you're still in the game, very much so. And you just felt that maybe you would have got more chances in the second half, but we haven't had any at all.
The referee's blown for full time on 90 minutes. Francois Letexier, who hasn't always helped Newcastle United tonight, but he's probably done them a favour by just calling time on this at the end of 90 minutes. A Champions League campaign that began with a home defeat by Barcelona ends with a battering by Barca in Camp Nou. 7-2 on the night. They were twice level in the first half, looking good, looking dangerous, but then the penalty in added on time after the VAR check gave the Spaniards their 3-2 lead, and the second half, well, you can't say anything good about it. 4 unanswered goals, and it really ran away from Newcastle United, who've ended up losing 8-3 on aggregate, and their Champions League campaign for another season, their involvement in European football's #1 competition, has come to a crashing end in Camp Nou, bookended by defeats by Barcelona at St James's Park, one that was respectable, a scoreline tonight that is really painful. Anthony Elanga had 3,000 Geordies in this stadium, in the upper section of the middle tier, dreaming and believing when he put the ball in the net twice. But that was as good as it got, and as you said, Ando, it looked promising at half-time, even though they were trailing with the VAR penalty put away by Lamine Yamal that Ramsdale got fingertips to. But a disastrous second half has done for them, and that's it for Champions League and for Europe for this season.
Yeah, look at it. Played really well first half, asked a lot of questions at Barcelona. They played that high line, we caused them problems with the pace of the front three, got it behind. Elanga's got himself the 2 goals to get us level, and then the killer was probably the penalty right on half time. But second half we just, Barcelona came out, they zipped it around, they got those quick 2 goals, and from then on in it was always going to be really, really hard work, and we got a little bit of a schooling in that second half, to be fair.
There were some positives in the first half, and it was exciting watching them. It felt like they were going to score when they went forwards. They exploited gaps and space, scored 2 goals, and Elanga, you have to be happy for him because he's had a tough time. Those goals unfortunately didn't count for anything, but how much do they have to make sure that the disappointment of the second half doesn't affect them negatively for Sunday and the derby?
Yeah, most definitely, but I suppose the one thing that comes out of it is this is the level you need to get to if you're going to compete in these competitions. You know, think Barcelona showed in that second half the level that you need to get to, the quality that is in this competition. As far as the result goes, look, you've got to put it behind you. It's one of those things. You've got another big game. That is probably a good thing, to be fair, Reza, that there is a big game coming up on Sunday, to get it out of their system. So but second half, disappointing tonight.
They make their way off the pitch, Newcastle United and Barcelona. A man of the match award will be given to a Barca player very shortly. Not sure who has been awarded that man of the match. It was Harvey Barnes last week at St James's Park. You could probably pick from a few. I think it might be Rafinha who's going to get it. Seems to be that way. They will celebrate and know that next they will play either one of their domestic rivals, Atletico Madrid, or Tottenham Hotspur. You thought that Spurs, with the mistakes they made leading to goals and a 5-2 first leg defeat in Madrid, was bad last time. Newcastle have lost by a bigger margin tonight. That game is coming up at 8 o'clock. Liverpool have to overturn a deficit, 1-0 down. They're at home in the second leg against Galatasaray. And Bayern Munich 6-1 up before the home leg against Atalanta. Those are the 8 o'clock Champions League matches. Newcastle United had never reached a Champions League quarter-final, and they still haven't. But they have achieved a lot in Europe this season. First time in the new format of the Champions League. A positive league phase. They probably should have gone through directly and avoided the playoff round and the Karabag tie, but they racked up a big score there. Anthony Gordon got himself plenty of goals, but his Champions League tally stops at 10. And then they were through to play Barcelona. They could have had Chelsea, but it was Barca. And the way they played in the first leg, well, you were dreaming and believing, especially at 1-0. And again tonight with the 2 Elanga goals, but then reality ruined things for Newcastle United as Barcelona, in the second half especially, after the first half added on time penalty following the VAR check, upped it, started well, scored the goals they needed, and then got a few more, and won on the night and on aggregate by a margin of 5. We'll stay with you till 8. Give us a call on 0800 234 6565. On exit at BBC Newcastle to send us a message, or if you're texting, put BBC at the start and it's 81333. They've got the derby next, then a break of a couple of weeks, more than that actually, 2 weekends that they won't play. It's going to be 3 weeks until the Crystal Palace match, which may get pushed back a day depending on Palace winning in Europe tomorrow night. So a break, some time on the training pitch, hopefully getting the likes of Bruno and Miley fit again as they make a final push in the Premier League to try and get more European football next season. Champions League might be beyond them in terms of Premier League places, but they have to give it a go. They could still get the Europa League or the Conference League if they finish in the top 7, and that will be their target. Now they are out of the Champions League this season, beaten by one of the big boys, by Barcelona, on the night by 7-2 here in Camp Nou, and on aggregate by 8-3.
Scott Makin, BBC Radio Newcastle.
So on the show recently, I was joined by one of our very own, Amelia Coburn. The singer is joining one of her heroes on stage. It's only Paul Weller.
I've idolised Paul since I was younger. In my childhood bedroom, I had posters from the NME and Uncut from years ago pinned up. So obviously when you're just chatting to him, I've got him in my contacts now, I WhatsApp him. That's surreal. You can't act like he's some god even though he is a demigod, you know? You have to just, because he's normal to me, he's very down to earth. You have to just be very personal, and because that's how he is with me, and he's really lovely.
Scott Makin. Weekday afternoons from 2. BBC Radio Newcastle.
Well, it was always going to be a big challenge. Some people predicted that there wouldn't be that many goals tonight. In the end, we had 9, unfortunately. 7 of them scored by the home team. Barcelona 7, Newcastle United 2 in the Champions League. Journey comes to an end against the best team that Newcastle have played in the Champions League this season. You can text us, as Razor has just said. We're here until 8 o'clock. 08000 321 333 if it's a WhatsApp message. 81333 if it's a text message. Start them all with the letters BBC. There is a right mix that we've had already. Some people obviously messaging us in the last few minutes of the game before it had actually finished, and the result was beyond any doubt at all. There's a mix of, well, Barcelona were just really good, Ando, and we defended really badly. And is that actually, it's both of those things at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We didn't defend well, but to be fair, Barcelona, especially in that second half, were excellent. They kept the ball, they moved us. But we've got to defend better than we did. We thought we'd got over our defensive frailties. We'd been conceding goals, 2s and 3s. We thought we'd got over that, but it was back there again tonight. Look, you're not going to play Barcelona every week. As I said, the Rays are right at that there column. They set the standard. That's the standard you've got to get to if you're going to compete in this competition. If you want to be at the final stages of this competition, they're the standard bearers, and that's where you've got to get there. Yeah,
Darryl in colour coats has sent us a message and sort of sums it up, I think. Gifted too many goals to Barcelona, did well to score our own goals in the first half, but in the end it was too much. This Barcelona side can turn the dial up to 11 at times, but we contributed to our own downfall. The lads, says Darryl, need to pick themselves up and get ready for Sunday. The perfect opportunity to respond would be a derby victory. And you said at the end, you can kind of look at it two ways. Sunderland fans will be delighted tonight because it was, it ought to be difficult morale-wise, but you're quite happy. Well, not happy. You're pleased that there is a
big game.
Big game straight away.
Absolutely. It's a big game that you want to get it out of your system. Do I fear there's going to be a hangover from this game? No, I don't, because it's one of those where you've got to get back on the horse, so to speak, and just get on with it. And they know how big this game on Sunday is going to be, and they'll remember what happened at the Stadium of Light as well, and they'll want to put that right.
This one is kind of, well, one of the others that's more critical, I suppose. There's a few like this, but I'm just reading this one out from John, who says, have to say I'm really upset and angry with the display that I've seen in the second half. How did we not come out with any fight, any hunger? Barcelona haven't had to do anything. We've gifted them all of the goals tonight. Serious questions need to be asked, in my opinion. If I hadn't already been dreading Sunday, I would be now. Thank you for the great commentary as always. You're welcome, John. But that's reflective of a few other messages as well. How fair is that?
I didn't think we got going second half, but I think an awful lot is down to the fact how well Barcelona started the second half. They came out, they kept the ball, they got those quick goals, 2 quick goals, kills the game, kills the tie. You're out of it then. You've got to score 3, and that was never ever going to happen. But I think you've got to look at the manner of some of the goals. It was too easy. Some of the goals were just poor defending individually and collectively. But as I say, we've got a big game at the weekend to get this one out of our system.
And it's interesting, I know I'm sort of yo-yoing between different messages that say different things, but that's, like I say, it's a reflection of what we got. Daza says, Barcelona the better team, we were level with them 140 minutes into the tie, but then massively ran out of steam. But give the lads some credit and roll on Sunday, says Daza. That is an argument too, that Newcastle were level with one of the best teams in Europe for 140 minutes.
Yeah, it was similar to the first game that we played in the league phase. For 45 minutes we matched them, we were there with them, we were as good as them. And then in the second half at St James's, they came out and they kept the ball and they moved the ball, and we couldn't get the ball. And when we got the ball, we kept giving it back to them. And it was a little bit like that again tonight. Matched them first half, no doubt about it. There wasn't a great deal between the sides. And then second half, they came out, they moved the ball quicker, they upped the tempo a little bit. And then when we got it, we just kept giving it away again.
Another message that doesn't have a name on it says, Tonali going off injured. How big of a blow is that, Ando?
I think he'd be alright.
We'll hold you to that. Bear in mind, you predicted before the game it would be tight and there wouldn't be many goals, and we ended up with 9.
I didn't think there would be. Just shows what I know.
Well, I don't think anybody saw that. I don't think anybody saw a 5-goal defeat coming. I'm not sure anybody saw 9 goals in that game coming at all, to be perfectly honest. This one from Brian. This result could destroy our season. Defending was woeful throughout. Barca are good without us gifting them goals in a disastrous second half where we failed to turn up. We've reverted to all our bad defensive habits. We looked mentally and physically shot at the end, and Howe's got a big job on his hands between now and Sunday.
Yeah, I mentioned the defensive. I thought we'd got over that. We went through a spell where defensively we were awful. We were giving goals away all over the place. Don't know how many times at St James's we conceded 3 goals to lose games. And in recent games you thought, yeah, we've sorted that out. Defensively we're okay. And then tonight really kicks you in the gut. I thought against them last week, defended really well. Pressed, put them under all sorts of pressure. But I know people are disappointed, but I think sometimes you've got to give the opposition credit as well. People are saying, oh, well, second half we weren't there, but they upped the pace, they upped the tempo of it. They moved the ball an awful lot quicker than what they did in the first half. And the one thing they did in the second half, they kept the ball better than they did in the first half.
Yeah. Last one here. Andrew, who is a very regular contributor to this programme, says it's been a great journey. This was just a bridge too far. On the plus side, we'll be hungry for revenge and to put things right on Sunday. And he says, that's me signing off until next week. I hate the derbies and I hate the build-up. Take care, everyone. Speak next week. Result depending. Says Andrew. It's actually been quite a short build-up to the derby, obviously, because
what's he going to do between now and Sunday?
Well, I mean, the first derby of this season, obviously the first league derby for a very long time, there was a huge, long build-up to it. This time, Newcastle playing in midweek, and such a big game in midweek just before it as well. It's quite an intense build-up, but that's where Newcastle's attention's now turned. Players, staff, supporters, everybody.
Hey, look. You've got to get over it. They've done great in the Champions League. Some big wins, some great performances, scored lots of goals. But they're of a different quality. They are what they are. They're a very, very good side. And they showed it again tonight.
They did indeed. Ando, thank you very much indeed.
Colin.
You're not back on BBC Radio Newcastle until the derby itself, I believe. So
I'm running scared, I am.
That's what it is. Don't feed the people that genuinely think that is true. Ando, thank you very much indeed. John Anderson from a Newcastle United fullback. Steve Howie is with us for the next couple of nights. He would always be doing a Thursday on Total Sport anyway. He's here with Marco and Pridey tomorrow. But Friday is a special show, a pre-derby show as well, coming live from South Shields Football Club. Steve Howie will be there. Gary Bennett will be there. Our 2 commentators, Barnsley and Razor, will be there as well once Matthew has made his way back safely from Barcelona as well. That'll be our big pre-derby special on Friday. I know people don't care quite as much now, but the 3 other Champions League games tonight that kick off at 8 o'clock. Bayern Munich already 6-1 up on Atalanta. Spurs 5-2 down. They're at home to Atletico Madrid. The winner of that will play Barcelona, we now know that. And Liverpool 1-0 down against Galatasaray from the first leg. The evening show is coming up next here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Like I say, Simon Pride back with Total Sport as normal. 8 o'clock tomorrow. Good night.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Now there's a turn from Lamine Yamal and a slip by Newcastle. They've had 2 slips and an opportunity which is taken. Rafinha has scored, could play it in. They've got Elanga in the middle. Anthony Elanga with a chance to equalise, and he has! Anthony Elanga in Camp Nou for Newcastle United. Now chip to the far post, Barca head it down and they've scored again in the middle. It's a tap in right in the centre. And Newcastle United should have defended that better. Barnes' cross, Elanga back post, has scored again. He's got 2 in Camp Nou. Anthony Elanga, would you believe it? What a story. Lamine Yamal to restore Barcelona's lead on the night. It's in across Ramsdale, who went the right way. Seemed to get close, but it's a penalty, left-footed, whipped inside the right-hand post, and they will go in at half-time trailing 3-2. Paul tries to win it, and Rafinha's played it on. Oh, they're in behind, it's one-on-one, and it's into the bottom corner from Fermin Lopez, and that could be crucial. Barcelona left-footed corner from the right. It's in. It's a header from the back post. And it's Lewandowski who's scored. Lamine Yamal here, great play. Lewandowski's in for another. Lewandowski scores another. And it really is all over for Newcastle United in the Champions League. Jacob Ramsey, oh no, given away. Ramsey, Rafinha has got another one. This is starting to turn ugly. Barcelona 7, Newcastle United 2.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.